welcome. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry for the small delay, but you know what? Real life happens, but we're not going to let that stop us from doing the cast tonight. We're doing a little spotlight on some people because there wasn't another week of regular season. I figure let's throw out some of the little lower tiers. We're going to give them some exposure, and we're going to have a good time this week. With me is IRK Royal Blue. How are you?
Hey man, I'm doing well. Sorry about that. A little delay in the cast tonight, but hopefully we can get things going on a good note.
I think with the games we have tonight, we're definitely be on a good note. But we are in the in between the regular season and the playoffs. The playoffs being currently played, so the next match of the week going to be some hot playoff action. Still not sure how I'm formatting that because there's a lot of playoff games and I'm not doing all of it in one night. So I got to figure that out. But we'll have something set up for you guys next week. But for now, we got a little bit of tier three, we got a little bit of tier two. And it's just going to be a good fun time, and we're going to get started into the first game. And for anyone in the chat, let me know what the audio balance is between me and my co-caster. It's always hard to just figure it out on the fly. So, in the top right, we have the purple Terran, K Pepe. K Pepe? Sure, why not? And in the bottom left, we have the blue Zerg, Rev. It's Rev and K. I don't, like, this is ridiculous. Like, these people, if you said, "Hey, how do you pronounce your name?" I bet half of them would be like, But like I don't say it because you type it.
Well, I think one of these players is not on their regular names, right?
Is that the case? Well, let's
I
see what I
think
got listed here.
Capepe, that's not a real name. I think it's FZ, at least in the listing. FZ? EFFZEH.
Yeah, not particularly better, but that is it. So we're starting off. We're gonna start off strong with some nice tier three play, and we're playing, the classic matchup, Terran vs Zerg, and we're playing on the classic map, Fighting Spirit. So, like, I'm always excited to see this matchup in particular, but especially with tier three, because who knows what they're gonna do.
Yeah, already we see kind of a weird depot placement, but it's going to be TDZ on Fighting Spirit, so everyone should be comfortable here with a strategy. So we'll see what these tier 3 players pull out. They've definitely seen this map before, so they should know what's up.
Honestly, I'd be amazed if there was a player that hasn't seen this map yet.
Yeah.
Like, what a weird timeline. If you like just skipped Fighting Spirit and only played like Circuit Breakers. Well, Zerg's opening up pretty standard so far. You're just going for that 12 hatchery, which is especially good with this cross spawn. So nice big macro map, making that right decision to not try
and
anything too
and
crazy.
Terran's taking his gas right now, so that's gonna indicate towards factory play before expanding.
Oh, if only we had Nablime here to talk up this factory play, which usually ends up being the Goliath play.
Mm-hmm.
We love riling him up, but unfortunately he is unavailable this evening. I know you guys are gonna miss him, but
So the Vine doesn't like the factory play.
he doesn't like the Goliath thing just because it's so strong for. Whoa, that's a lot of guys in the gas from our
It
Terran
is.
player. Hopefully he catches that and doesn't let that float around too long. But this is like tier three. It's that I just started getting StarCraft and trying to learn and take it a little more seriously. There's gonna be so many of these little tiny mistakes, and you gotta just if it happens, you just gloss over it. Don't get too caught up. You can always fix the stuff later. There's like the easy thing you could see in your replay. Be like, man, I am silly. The unfortunate thing with tier three is that it is like the lowest entry we have on CPL. So there isn't like a MMR range where it's like, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
is probably like you can get like an estimate of what the skill level is. It's literally anything. Like you play StarCraft, you're in here. It could be anything. So you have no idea
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
Well, I think both these players, pretty standard here. Opening, if you think about the Terran who's now pulled all his guys off gas, so he at least has corrected that to some degree. His factory was slightly delayed, taking it at 18, but he's got that factory in there, and his scout's still alive. It looks like it's going to get picked off eventually by these 6 lings if they can get a nice surround. But he was able to see it's a 3 hatchery build, so that should give him a little bit of understanding of what he should do as far as the follow up into the mid game.
All right. So if you're doing this kind of factory play from the Terran, are you excited that you saw a 3 hatchery?
I guess it totally depends. on what you're doing. Personally, I don't mind seeing a 3 hatchery build. Looks like he does at least see though that 6 lings are on their way to his base. He starts a command center at the natural position.
This is dangerous. Dangerous to say the least. I don't think he can hold this one. Doesn't quite have the marine production to really keep up in this either. It just cancels it straight up. I think that's the smart decision.
His first vulture is out. If he can micro this back, oh, he needs to pull it back. And look, he's managing to micro it now with a few HP left, 15 hit points. Okay, now he just needs to repair that vulture.
I mean, it was good defense, so not let the lanes get in the base, cause any particular chaos. And they're kind of doing like a pretty decent response, going up to lair. They're building up a decent amount of drones so far, and then getting that one sunken, which is always nice, so you can stop that vulture from running by. Especially since it didn't get repaired, that is going to get destroyed immediately.
Yeah, he's only getting that one. Now he's building a second vulture. But kind of risky there. There was no links to follow up, but if there was, he may have been taken out there. But luckily for him, he's still alive. Let's see. Oh, and he loses that vulture as you kind of predicted there.
Yeah, like just before it, he was gonna put down that Hydralisk den. So the Terran probably can make the assumption that it's gonna be Hydralisk with the factory play. Usually, it seems pretty common to do that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that he didn't actually fully confirm it, but meanwhile in the Terran base we're seeing we're going up to 2 factories. That armory's done. I think we know the build that we're gonna see here. And like I said, the blind be throwing a fit right now.
Okay, and the Spire is also up for the Zerg player, so maybe he'll go into Mulus now, but he's keeping his options open. I think getting the Spire,
Yeah,
but yeah, like you were saying, right into Goliath production for the Terran, and he's getting that range and +1 on the armor. So this is looking like a pretty standard Goliath build. Really, you can get a 3rd factory by this timing. And maybe delay that engineering a little bit, considering it's 3 hatch muta. But I like the build from the Terran player, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's got all the basic pieces there. There's always little tiny stuff, like there was 2 Goliaths queued at 1 factory, while you could have been just like maybe building that extra one to get things going. But like even like when you look at low level play like this, I have no problem with like these early missile turns where it's like if they were going to be on time for a 2 hatch and he's not thinking that about how 3 hatch works, like
Okay.
just I'd rather do something like that where it's like, this is kind of what I see, you're getting used to it, and just err on the side of safety. Never a bad idea. A couple lanes
Yeah,
early,
now there's some
absolutely
lings
fine.
in, though. Yeah. They're going to surround this Goliath. It's never
That's just
good.
such goofy when you see the guys kind of like moving around. It wasn't even really shooting up or anything, trying to micro it a little bit. And the Lynx actually
Yeah.
going after Mistor takes it down very quickly. Now there's no turrets at that natural with the Spire being done, but no Muta's on the way. Just a
He's got a
couple.
few Mutalisks out, yeah.
Yeah, just a couple. I was expecting more from that 3 hatchery. Like, it usually isn't that the kind of like you build up to like that 9, that 11, like amount that really can put some pressure on. But only seeing a couple. It's if they can get something done, especially after killing that turret, I think that's very possible. But rebuilding the turret now, so I think it's gonna not be too much damage from these mutas. Meanwhile, the Zerg in the bottom right taking a 3rd base, so making use of this time that he's gonna buy.
Well, the Mutas have forced a lot of turrets here from the Terran player, still producing off 2 factories. He's getting a little bit supply blocked here, but he's going to try to do a push, I think, with his armor upgrade, which is just now finishing. So that might be a time for a timing, but it looks like Hydralisks are already out for Zerg.
Yeah,
So he might try to be aggressive.
I don't like the idea of being aggressive though, because if you look at the worker count and the army count, like there's just not a lot of units for a Terran, even though they have an upgrade. Like you still get to fight Lings, you're gonna have to fight Sunkens. Like this isn't gonna really do a lot. It's going out a little bit, and he actually just immediately turns around, doesn't even want to mess with it.
Yeah, you really need a lot more Goliath if you're trying to do a timing with the armor. So I think you're right. Pulling back here was the correct move.
And it's still adding on a lot in terms of respecting the mutas very much. But I mean, when you do have like when you start to build up a massive Goliath, you don't have to lean so hard into the turrets. But especially since it's not even really going into this, and we're actually in marine
Yeah,
production, it's ventral sack speed research, so maybe some kind of cool drop play is going to happen in a little bit.
Yeah, we see the Zerg's totally switched into Hydralisks, it looks like, and really only has 3 mutas left. So they only built maybe like 4 to 6 mutas. And so this overinvestment in turrets is really hurting the Terran player, as Hydralisks are not able to get into his base. But the Goliaths are trading okay. It looks like they're all going to fall here, though. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think I feel that bad as the Zerg here. You're putting so much pressure on
No,
all
you
the
feel
natural
great.
SCVs getting pulled here. And even if you look at like the worker counts the same, the army counts actually favoring the Zerg a little bit. And that third base in the bottom corner finally up, even though it's not really getting saturated yet. Zerg definitely putting some pressure on the Terran, and without these like factory count to really build the units, it's gonna be hard for Terran to fight back.
Yeah, I agree. Terran's kind of just now adding up to 4 factories. He's just now getting tanks out. He didn't really build a bunker, which is another thing that could stop this Hydralisk play. And now this Hydra's just camping in his natural, destroying SCVs. They've retreated now that they hear the tank siege up.
Yeah, I think that's the smart call. Siege tank's so effective against Hydralisk. Like you're gonna, especially when these the weapons upgrades are gonna finish up for the Terran. So I think if you chill out, like build up a decent sized army, you have plenty of time to get like some things done. So I don't think Terran's feeling that bad, but it really just wants to re-secure that natural.
Definitely, the Terran cannot lose that natural again. Otherwise, he would just be so far behind economically. Zerg doing a great job setting up a third base in the bottom right during all of this, getting that saturated, getting an extractor over there. So he's doing a good job macroing up behind this aggression, and it's going to be up to the Terran player to start macroing up 2 bases and try to get a push going. But he doesn't really have a lot of SCVs at his natural right now, and it's kind of looking like he needs to just wait and defend. He should be safe from these Hydras, but they're getting right on top of his siege tanks.
Yeah, with no buildings or anything to slow us down, the Zerg just moving straight forward, takes out all the
Oh,
tanks
wow.
almost immediately before they get like good shots off. One of the big things
Yeah,
about this map is having if you had a couple tanks on that high ground, this fight would be a lot harder to execute. But Zerg does enough damage and takes game one. I mean, we've all had those kind of games, especially learning up a little bit. Like there's gonna be so many things that are gonna happen that you gotta just shake that off. I'm curious to see what the reaction is gonna be in game two. Because I could definitely see like you play a game, you lose like that handily, and then
mm-hmm.
game two maybe it's like a reaction like, oh crap, I gotta cheese him, or just you get a little rattled. But hopefully we can see a nice stable game in game two.
I think it was a good trick from the Zerg player doing a few mutas and forcing the turrets out. That definitely worked that game. We'll see if the Terran player is able to make the adjustment.
Okay, we're getting that. We're getting that. I can't create the game. I got to change the game names every time. Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is gonna be a little annoying, but that's okay. So going into game two, the map pool for this particular week was Fighting Spirit, then Neo Sylphid, and then Overwatch if it ends up getting to a game three. We're gonna hopefully the Terran player can turn it around and get us that Overwatch, because I feel like last week's cast I did not see a lot of it. It was a lot of 2-0s it felt like, but that's right now we gotta still play Sylphid, and in the top middle we got the yellow Terran. This is like whatever.
Something like that,
Terran,
yeah.
the Terran player. And then the bottom right, we have the White Zerg, Revos. Revo, we're good. I think I just need like to figure out the nickname we're gonna call and commit to it, and not like feel weird about it. Like you're gonna have like these names that, like, I'm from America, I can't do this. Like maybe like if I was more cultured, this would be fine. But
Yeah.
K Pepe was subbing. Oh,
Well,
okay.
there's okay. Oh, so it was a sub. Okay.
All right, that definitely
Explains a
makes
lot.
me look at this a little differently. Always a weird spot to be in, where you if you get subbed in, because usually that means you didn't get a lot of time to prepare for the week because you weren't like planning to play the game.
Yeah.
But always like a good job if someone could step up and try to fill that role, because like no one wants to walk over. Walkovers suck. Like let's actually play some StarCraft.
Yeah, I think we've been having very few walkovers this season compared to the past. I think.
Yeah, for the most part, it's been very good about walkovers. A little bit, like, as the season went on, it got a little more frequent, but even still, nothing in comparison to the past seasons. Very active group we had this time. I'm happy to see games get like that. My mic is pretty quiet. Okay. Well, we can fix that. Actually, we can. I'm totally boosted. I'm just going to have to talk louder. That's fine.
Okay. And now we see the gas taken again by the Terran player. He's electing not to wall in, but I'm assuming taking the gas, he's going to go for a factory play. Maybe even, like we saw the last game, he will go for some Goliath.
I mean, it does feel like one of those kind of builds that, like, there's no clear answer to it yet, right? So, if you wanted to just do that every game, why wouldn't you?
I mean, we saw a clear answer in the last game, right?
So I don't think that's an answer to the build per se, as much as it maybe was player skill.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Player skill can affect any build.
Yeah, but that shouldn't lead to your strategy decisions. That's like if you're playing equal terms though, like Glide build seems like it's very stable, gives you a nice potent army to fight with, and especially on a map like this where it seems like it's nice, easy, short pushing distance. It feels like a good choice.
Hmm. I feel like you could say the same thing about a Zerg build, such as 3-hatch Muta. Like, it's a stable, it gives you pushing options. Like, you have Mutas out on the map, you get to harass your opponent. Like, I don't know. I just feel like both builds have the same, like,
I mean, that is kind of the thing with
options.
the 3-hatch, isn't it? That it is a
Yeah.
little more muscle to it, not finesse like a 2-hatch. But there
Yeah.
are like clear builds from Terran that it's like, oh, if I know you're going 3-hatch, there's builds you can do that would give you that kind of advantage early on, or like
And I think there's
2-hatch.
builds you can do. Like, for instance, the early Zerglings we saw in the last game, they forced Terran to cancel his hatchery. So I think that's a build you can do against mech that's effective, right?
I that seemed like it worked well in that particular game, but as you commented like early on in this one, that the Terran player electing not to wall off when you're not gonna have a lot of units early, and I feel like especially on some of these maps, this one feels like walling off makes sense. That it's
Mm.
good to have the abilities help you out a little bit. That was especially you saw that when the Hydras busted through on Fighting Spirit. That without that wall, they just kind of ran
Yeah.
forward.
A SimCity in the natural would be effective. Here, the Lings are able to get right on top of those Marines, and they're able to take out the first Marines. 4 Lings going into the Terran base. He has one Vulture out, though. He's going to need to micro it. He gets past... Okay, so he's killed both the Lings.
Yeah, a little bit
And his
stays in.
Vulture...
Yeah,
Yeah.
he keeps the Vulture alive. That's not bad at all.
Let's see if he can keep it alive from the Sunken now this game. He's sending it out across the map again with very little HP. But he's following up his build. He's building a armory. He's not getting supply block now. He's trying to get this expansion. He needs to saturate the expansion.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little while. It's not like Zerg where you just build a million of the same thing. And
Oh,
again, that Vulture dying immediately to the Sunken Colony. Good response from Zerg knowing it's coming. Just build the Sunken, don't
for
deal with the headache of it. And actually go into Hydra Den, but no lair this time. So this is a different build from the Zerg that we saw. I think he's just kind of going for an early bust, realizing, like, I killed the Marines, we killed the first Vulture. You probably aren't going to have a lot of units early and just try to knock the door down.
yeah, I think so. Going 3-hatch Hydra with no lair. Here he's getting an Evo chamber. He might just try for some kind of early aggression. He's hidden some Lings out on the map, knowing that the Lings really can't fight this Vulture. But he could even do a run by, as there's no Goliath back at the Terran base just yet. So there's definitely time for some Zerglings to get in there. And they're actually on top of that Vulture.
Yeah, unfortunately, like, started to add on the factory count, but the unit production for the Terran feels like it's hit a crawl as he's trying to build up this expansion. He's trying to build up like an engineering bay, really like get everything set up. But an early attack might do a lot of damage, and we're seeing again from the Terran, just getting those early turrets, respecting the threat of that 2-hatch muta timing, but this time is not going to do anything. Instead of last game where it did just not very much.
Well, I'm really interested. Yeah, this is just going to be pure Hydras coming out from the Zerg now. And Terran's building turrets. He needs a bunker. He needs more units out of his factories to try to hold off all these hydralisks that are going to be coming flooding out of, it looks like 4 hatcheries now.
Yeah, actually adding on that fourth hatchery, like this is, I think this is very committed to doing some damage. But looking at the Terran's base, there's no buildings, there's nothing to really slow us down, no real units. And as the Hydras move out, I don't know what's gonna stop them.
Yeah, and I don't think that Vulture really saw, so the Terran's going to be completely surprised by this move out, I think.
Yeah, the
And
Vulture had just enough vision rates to see it, but there's between being able to see it and actually seeing it and reacting. With the Goliath's not moving forward and everything just going straight into those missile turrets into the SCV line. There's only a couple Goliaths here. I have no idea how you would ever hold this as Terran.
yeah, you really need a bunker if you're going to hold something like this, and you need to scout it. But right now, yeah, he's totally gotten through. He's broken through into the natural. He's killing all the workers there. And he's even got Hydralisks on top of the factories trying to pick off these Goliath as they pop out.
Yeah, SCVs have to be pulled and fight. Now reinforcements coming through. They're definitely going to be able to shut down the natural, but like, he was in the base. He knows there's nothing here. You might as well just keep marching forward and like getting the job done. As Hydras keep getting rallied, I don't know if how is Terran going to back this off. I think you just got to try, like, sacrifice the natural, try to block off maybe, and like wait for a couple rounds of production. But I don't think you have the time. Yeah. Unfortunately, another quick game for the Zerg. Hydras turning out they're actually not terrible units.
Hydra's pretty good. Yeah, can trade well against a lot of units.
Yeah, I would love to comment further, but as a pro player, I think that I would not be unbiased.
Yeah, we don't have a Zerg here to defend them. It's like, massing only 1 unit, it's so hard. Anyway, good win for him.
Yeah, that worked out just fine. So we're going to be going to Game 2, the other Tier 3 match we have. And this one, I think, is a Protoss versus Terran, if I remember correctly.
Oh, nice.
So I was trying to avoid the mirrors, because like people see enough of the mirrors. Or did I get a mirror? No, I got pros for Terran. I knew what I'm doing.
You did.
So,
Okay.
in the top right, we got Jar Senko, which I think it is just Jar Senko on the Discord. And in the bottom right, we have Ire with a bunch of numbers. That is my little Ire playing Terran. Unusual name.
Very unusual, yeah. I don't know if he like follows StarCraft. Like, this is not how it works. Like, my line for Ire is the Zealot phrase, so I don't get this.
Nah, he just hasn't discovered the light yet. He's got to play like 2 games and build an Arbiter and get that 1 recall, and then he'll never turn back.
I think he's decided Terran is just a better race, so we'll see who wins this game. But I'm rooting for the Terran player. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I understand you have racial bias, and that's completely understandable. But everyone knows Terran's the best. Like, this is like all the Korean players. They all say flashes clearly, so it's just the race. It's just overpowered. Like,
yeah, I don't know about talking about Korean pro gamers when we're watching Tier 3, but if that's what the Korean pro gamers say, it must be true, right?
Sure, why not? I mean, it's always, like, especially this matchup. I don't know about you with the Terran side of it, but I know especially from the Protoss, it's the same opener. It's always the same opener. It's you get your pylon, then there's a gateway, and then you get a gas, and there's a cyber core. Like, there's no variation for a little while.
Yeah,
we gotta fluff it up a little bit. I think the only variation that Terran could really reasonably do is that either a gas expand or not. So the moment they take the refinery.
Yeah. Both players really, when they take that refinery, and then the Protoss has to decide if he wants to take an expansion. And if he doesn't take an expansion and keeps mining that gas, he could do a variety of openers. But if he takes that expansion, you can really limit what he's going to do. We'll see what the Protoss does in this game, but it looks like the Terran's already mining gas, so he's going to go for a factory expand, which is pretty common for Terrans these days.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. It could still just be 2 factory play or anything. It's until we actually see the guys getting pulled off the gas, you never.
Oh, it's so true.
That is usually the indicator that you pull off a couple of guys while you're just getting that little extra minerals to start the CC a little bit faster.
Yeah, the factory could have been started by now, but just choosing to keep producing Marines, and he's waiting for this barracks to finish. He's got so much gas already banked up, actually, as the Terran player.
Yeah, I feel like things were lined up a little weird. Was the barracks just a little late here or something?
Yeah, it must have been a late placement on the barracks. I'm not sure what happened there, but he is placing his factory now, and he's taken all but one guy off gas, so it looks like it will be a factory expand, just getting a little bit of extra gas.
I mean, that's very fine, especially with these lower level plays. It's the right look, it's the right idea. Like, you're getting the factory up, you're pulling guys out, you want to get the expansion. Maybe the order of things is a little bit off. This probe getting in and getting it really full scout, though, got to make the Pros player feel comfortable.
Yeah, seeing that there's only one factory, seeing that actually no one was mining gas for a little bit, the Protoss player might feel safe to take his own expansion. The Protoss actually went Zealot first, and I'm surprised if he had sent that Zealot, maybe he could have done some damage, but he kept it back at his base. And we'll see now, is he going to go take the expansion? It looks like he has 400 minerals, so the Protoss might be looking to expand.
Oh, look at this dirty Terran player. He kills the scout, and it's like, I was rooting all along, the hard commit 2 factory ruse where he actually pulls the guys off the gas just to make it look like the expand.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You don't see that every day. That's a nice play from the Terran. He's totally going to catch the Protoss off guard, especially considering the Protoss has no units outside the Terran base. So he's not even going to really see this push coming. Now he's moving a Dragoon out. We'll see if it gets there in time, because the first tank is only just starting now. That's how delayed these factories were. So we'll have to see what upgrade he goes. He goes siege mode first. And what's he producing out of his second factory?
We're going to see that shortly. I think the Protoss player, if he pokes the ramp and sees that, hey, there's no Vulture, there's no siege tank, I don't see a CUC, just a couple Marines keeping me out, you start getting really suspicious, but he's got to actually walk the Dragoon up the ramp and see all this stuff, not just assume. So hopefully he gets that, but just keeping it down there, realize the expansion's not up, starting to add on some more gateways, nothing crazy unusual from Protoss here, but needs to get an idea of what's going on or he's going to get caught off guard.
Yeah, seeing that expansion timing is a big indicator, but that Dragoon not really getting a complete scout, not wanting to go up the ramp. So Terran is going to be able to make his push here kind of unhindered. Oh, and the Goon, yeah, the Dragoon's retreating. Terran's adding on an academy and getting vultures from his second shop, but he hasn't, from his second factory, but he hasn't added on mines or speed to his vultures. So I'm not quite sure what the build is here from Terran, because he needs to put on an attack and he needs to get upgrades for his vultures.
I mean, he did keep adding on Marines a little bit. He's got a pretty potent little force, so I think if he pushes out, there's not enough Dragoons here to actually like kite this and like really slow this down, pick off some of the straggling units. And actually just going to lose his first Dragoon just about. Is so close to dying, manages to barely get out, but sees the push coming. What's the reaction going to be?
Yeah, this is a little bit of a delayed push, but he has 3 tanks, a good amount of Marines, as you mentioned, and some Vultures with the push. So he's going to force his one Dragoon back to his reinforcements, and there's actually not that many units out here for Protoss right now. Just 4 Dragoons and 1 Zealot. So the Terran's moving across with 5 SCVs even. His tanks are a little bit delayed.
Yeah, this is one of the hard things about this, that if you're getting pushed like this, you want to have the goons up forward so you can try to like kite it back, stall out for a couple more production rounds. Because when you just don't have the units, look how lopsided this fight is. Siege tank's so potent if you just don't have the muscle to fight your way through.
Yeah, definitely. This push came out at great timing for Terran. The Protoss really didn't have that many units out in front. Only 4 Dragoons against 3 tanks and 1 Zealot was not enough. And he needed to have more Dragoons forward, I guess, and do more damage kiting if he was going to hold this push. Because the tank did siege up. The first time the tank sieged up was basically in the Protoss natural. So you need to make the tank siege up outside of the natural and slowly push in if you want to have a chance of winning as Protoss.
This spider bot he laid on top of his tanks is giving me massive anxiety.
Yeah, I don't know if the Protoss went too quickly into Citadel of Adun because now he's trying to get leg speed, but it's just too late. He's already lost his natural expansion, and there's kind of no way back into the game for him, I don't think. He might have to try to bust out of this contain, but that's going to be very cost inefficient for Protoss.
Yeah, I mean, so you still have the advantage that you have Dragoons. If you keep them on the high ground and use that high ground advantage, you can slow this down. You lost your national, but Terran still hasn't taken theirs. So the situation is not as bad as it looks, especially you have a robotics facility. You can go into like shuttle play, maybe reavers. You're going to get observers to clear these mines. And you actually see now the vultures moving around, trying to see, did Protoss take a third base? Like, why is he so cool just letting me take this? But it's really just because he has to let him take this.
Yeah, Protoss being very patient here. I think it is the more and more tanks get to this contain, the worse it gets for Protoss. And the Terran's kind of maybe even wondering, what's the Protoss doing? Is he trying to drop units outside? Is he getting a Reaver tech? Is he, taking a hidden expansion? All of this before the Terran's deciding to expand himself. So both these players are one basing right now, pretty hard. So all these units are going to be like, if any unit is lost, it's a maximum damage. It does a lot of damage to your economy. And here comes the Protoss trying to push out.
This is not what you want to do. You don't have. There's no way you get to these tanks in time, especially just with Dragoons. Trying the desperation attempt, I think he had the robotics facility. That's the much safer way to go about a play like that. Just go into some kind of drop play, maybe get a Reaver, like do something that can get some high impact. But like, I think it was one of those situations where you're like, man, this feels terrible. I lost my expansion, but the Terran not thinking forward in the game either, never took theirs, didn't add on more factors or anything. If you like kind of just keep waiting it out, like that actually wouldn't be that bad of a situation for Protoss eventually.
Yeah, I wonder if he even got an observer to the Terran base. I was able to see the Terran had not taken expansion.
No,
because I think that would have.
He did not, unfortunately. He had observers seeing what's going on with the natural, but didn't really have an idea what the Terran was up to. Well, we're gonna see if my intuition's correct about these dirty Terran players, but I gotta introduce them first before I start talking things. So in the bottom left we have Ire with the numbers, My Life for Ire, playing for the wrong race, just simply incorrect. And in the bottom right we have Jar Jar Senko trying to even this game up so we can go see Overwatch for once. So I feel like when you are a Terran player and you like the 2-factory, you usually leave 2-factory. It's not like, I feel like especially at lower levels, it's not ability sprinkle ins. Either you do 2-fac or you don't do 2-fac. That's what it feels like to me.
Okay. Yeah, I like to sprinkle it in, but I can totally see if that's your standard play. You can definitely use it multiple games because then you force the Protoss to react to you. And if you're comfortable with those Protoss reactions, you can use that as your opening. And it can work, definitely, as long as the Protoss isn't too comfortable with his reaction time to the seeing the 2-fact and then, whatever it may be he chooses to do. I know a lot of Reaver plays shut down 2-fact. If you go for a fast DT, that shuts down a 2-fact pretty well usually. So those are options.
That sounds dangerous to go for DT because having to like deal with spider mines if they go for spider mines is the first upgrade. If they're like doing a classic like something that looks like an FD, anything like that. I don't know. But
yeah, it would have to be like a proxy DT, I think, because you're right. If you just build them in your base, he might just put mines outside your base.
Yeah, so I think this is what happened the other game, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like, are you supposed to get the gas before the barracks?
No. So that's probably what delayed his time in last game. So yeah, you want to get the gas right after the barracks. So your barracks should be at 11, your gas should be at 12.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of the same logic with Barrage. You get the gateway, then the assimilator. Otherwise, you just have so much gas and you can't actually use it.
Yeah, you don't have the ability even to build a factory until your barracks finishes. So there's no point to go over 100 gas before that barracks completes.
Yeah, but I mean, so that would explain a little bit of what happened in the first game. We're seeing that again. So, like, again, like the general look is good, but these little tiny things, they seem so inconsequential, but they make such a big difference, especially in the early game.
Yeah, especially when you're going for a 2-factory. Now, I wonder if his build is timed it out that he needs extra gas, but this is not really the way I see a lot of 2-factories played because you really need to place that first factory as fast as you can. And so the way it was delayed, especially in the last game, really slows your push because he really didn't have a lot of tanks with his initial move out. They just kind of rallied to the front. But we'll see if he goes for another 2-factory build. He's taking all his guys off gas right now.
I mean, I guess getting the gas extra early, you can't afford to do things like this.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre to me. I don't know if there's a real method to this.
Yeah, I don't particularly think this is like. I would be hard to justify this as legitimate and not just having a build that needs a little more optimization. But
yeah,
I do think though, like you're looking at the situation that SCV in the base sees that it's not like an early 2 gateway from the Protoss player. The unit count's not going to be robust, and I wonder if that's kind of all the info he needs to decide he wants to get that second factory.
yeah. Wow. So this is how it works, eh? So he sees the 1 gateway of his opponent and the range upgrade. So he must know it's going to be an expansion. And then he places his own second factory. And we'll see. He's already got 4 Marines out.
Okay. Again, little comments about some of the stuff going on. Let me adjust the volumes a little bit. Let's see if that makes things better. Sorry for little hiccups here and there. Always hard to figure out like how to set everything up for my stream. When it's like I don't listen to my stream. How am I gonna?
Yeah. You got that.
See, everyone's just saying everything's quiet. I think we're being trolled. I'm not even gonna worry about it. Like I got everything turned up more. You have volume on your computer. You can figure it out. Like, I believe in you guys. You're smart. But we're seeing the same kind of 2-factory push, rushing for that siege mode. And not the unit production feels like it should be kicking in pretty good for the Protoss player. Having that extra gateway a little earlier this time. But what is happening with these probes? Holy crap.
He's got like 8 probes stuck, and now he's finally able to get them mining and then get them kind of glitched out of there. But that's kind of upsetting, at least, to the very least. But he's got these 2 gateways. I don't think he even knows where the Terran spawned, though. He's sending his 2 Dragoons to the wrong spawning location right now.
Yeah, I think, yeah, he never actually scouted. He was just going to scout with the units when they came out, so he's just going for that. Now, we're trying to get some clarification. Is my voice too loud, or my co-caster's voice too loud? But we'll keep going with this. Yeah, 1 person, 2. The co-caster's too loud. Okay, so someone told me.
I'm too loud?
Well, no, someone told me boost you up, and they were wrong.
Okay.
So there we go. I got you a little more reduced. We'll see if that helps things out. Meanwhile, we're seeing this push move out, and there is no units to see it at all. The goods are going to come back and actually maybe get an opportunity to kill off one of these tanks, which would be huge if they actually do it.
Yeah. Oh, let's see how he reacts. Now, he does already have 5 Dragoons out, which is more than he was able to get out at this timing in the last game. And he's got another round halfway done, so he might have more units. He does lose 1 Dragoon, though, basically for free. But like you said, he's got to kite back and kind of draw out this push and dance away from the tanks. But instead, he's just retreating all the way back to his natural. And I think he's going to let the Terran siege up in a really favorable position here.
Especially since he's going to have to move out through these pylons now. If he actually landed that barracks, this would be like a nightmare to actually work with. Another round of Dragoons coming out, though, and having a little more force to move through and see if he can move forward enough. Not engaging on the tanks right away, taking so much damage he doesn't need to take.
Yeah, and he's got a couple of Dragoons back at his base, 1 at the gateway and 2 waiting at the natural. So he didn't really bring in all his units. I think he got 1 tank there, but there's just too many additional units from the Terran that are just kind of supporting this push that the Dragoons haven't really microed down yet. Now he's able to take out some Marines, but he's losing the probes at his natural. He's forced to transfer them away.
Yeah, it's just just one of those situations where it's a little tragic that he had a good amount of goons, but not being in a good position. And then when he actually went for the engage, he was shooting vultures, he was shooting SCVs, he wasn't killing the only thing that actually matters right now, which is these siege tanks. Unfortunately, we're looking into the same situation we saw in Game 1, naturally getting pushed off. But without a ramp, it's going to be harder to defend, and Jarsenko just taps out of this one. Unfortunately, going down 0-2, but Terran's insane, so you know what.
Yeah. He stuck to his guns with the 2 factory there, and it paid off, so good for him.
So, Hell of Bacon wants us to clarify, and I can do this in the cool caster way. We can make this smooth. If you're just tuning in, I'm State Zero, and we're doing a match of the week. We're catching up with some Tier 2 and some Tier 3 play. I actually just finished through the Tier 3, so we're moving to Tier 2 now. My co-caster with me is IRK Royal Blue, the king of being late and is delaying us a half hour.
Wow, so you did rat me out to them. Yes, I'm Royal Blue, and I'm the co-caster here tonight. Hopefully you guys can all hear me. Let me know if you can, I guess.
Oh, they can definitely hear you because they're saying it too loud. We're going to keep adjusting your volume Discord until they let me know what's going on. Yeah, 10 decibels louder. Okay. Alright. We're still working on it, so, you know, keep me going. Fucking Jarcino. No, I'm not dealing with this. So we got the next game up. We're moving into our Tier 2 games, which Tier 3, I'm not as familiar with the players. I'm like, let's pick up these names. I've seen these names in the Discord around. But the guys I got picked up tonight for Tier 2, I'm very excited to see how these games go. So in the bottom left, we got my boy, June, the monster macro Zerg. And in the bottom right, we have Red SOS Toss playing in the green Protoss. And I don't know much about that, but it's my boy June. Of course, I'm going to cast his game. I haven't actually seen him play in a while, but he used to be such a monster, and I wouldn't have any reason to believe why that would stop now.
Wow, I've actually never seen June play either, but sounds very good from what highly regarded, at least from what I'm hearing. So that was exciting in and of itself. Are you a man?
The classic question for June. He gets asked that so often. The answer is man. If you guys don't know.
He didn't troll there. He just says man. So I'm wondering why this is important to Red SOS Toss. Maybe he's going to change his build up depending on the answer. I don't know.
I hope there's no one like that. But that's just like one of those like weird things. Like you pick one of those kind of names and just I don't know why that question happens, but it happens a lot. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think Jesse just never really knew. Some history of some of these players from past CPL seasons. Well, from June, we're going Overpool, which is a very safe build, gets you out of the early game. From Red SOS Toss, this is unusual for playing versus Zerg. We got a gateway, but it's in the base, not at the front. So maybe doing a little 2-gate play. If you watched, we did a video relatively recently. You can see it on the VODs. We did a coaching session for Zerg with Hawk, and that actually showed off like his opinions about Overpool, and actually showed a game versus this 2-gateway Zealot. So if you're intrigued by this game, you got more content to watch. You can check that out in the archives or on our YouTube channel.
Wow, did you know that picking this game? Because that's pretty fortunate for us that we get to see this.
No, I didn't. I was just like, June's got a series, and I looked at the replay legs. I'm like, yeah, I want to watch this. This sounds fun.
So here we go with SOS Toss. He's throwing down his 2 gateways, and he hasn't taken his gas yet, so he's just going to be pumping Zealots, it looks like.
Yeah,
and
tragedy for June. He scouts only to the natural seasonal wall, moves on. He got to the right base, but didn't go in enough to see this. He's going to be caught very unaware.
This is very unfortunate. So yeah, exactly. Now how do you answer it? If he's building, he's building lanes. A few lanes. So yeah, how does Zerg respond here? He needs to get a sunken down, in my opinion. But what do you think the perfect response is here when he sees these Zealots?
I don't know how to deal with like I don't see anyone do this kind of Zealot thing, but it's very potent. You definitely need to respect the power of the Zealots, because if it starts steamrolling out of control, it can get bad. He's making some lanes again on the map. That sounds like a good starting point. And if you have to get a sunken, I think that's okay. I think actually, if I remember correctly, which we actually are seeing, I think the Hawk mentioned that getting an extra hatchery for more larvae is very important to prevent this.
Yeah, it looks like he did get that extra hatchery. He's losing his first lings there. He pulls back the other lings. Maybe he could go for a run by right now. It looks like that's what he's gonna try to attempt. He's surrounding one Zealot.
Again,
He's
that
gonna be
one
able to
pick
get
off
it out.
definitely
Yeah,
helps, but
big pick off.
there's a lot of Zealot production very possible. Actually, respecting the counterattack and just chilling on the ramp. Just using the 2 to move forward and keep forcing a little bit of defense from Jude, but not super leaning into the aggression that he went for. The sunken looks like he's going to finish. There's enough lanes to protect it. If he kept barreling into this attack, he might have a better shot, but the fact that he pulled back, I think June's going to be quite fine getting out of this.
Yeah, red SOS toss. We'll see what he's gonna follow this up with, because that first Zealot aggression got really shut down hard. So now he's gonna have to go into kind of a tech build, and he's getting his Forge and Cybernetics Core maybe to deal with Mutalisk, which could be incoming, or to at least get anti-air.
Well, it is also a very key thing, especially for a Zealot heavy strategy, that you don't want to delay getting your +1 weapons for tremendously long. It's a very important upgrade. If the Protoss is ahead of the Zerg, the Zealots will 2-shot lengths instead of 3-shot. It makes the fight way more favorable.
Yeah, he hasn't started that upgrade yet, but that's definitely, like you said, a very potent upgrade. He's getting a Stargate now. So he's going 2 Gateway, 1 Stargate on 1 base. The Zerg doesn't really need to take another expansion here. This is just going to be, I think, like a low eco game from these players.
I mean, you're feeling very comfortable right now, I think, as the Zerg player. You have 3 hatcheries, plenty of larvae to go through. We're actually seeing the armor upgrade coming out instead of the +1 weapons. I'm not sure about the decision on that one. Just I guess wants to have his units be a little more robust, but especially when you know you're fighting against lynx, that +1 weapon is so key. But he's
Yeah, maybe he's concerned about mutas. I'm not sure why the armor would be upgraded.
Well, I think going into the thing he's more concerned about, he wants to make sure he's got a little more health to deal with the Hydralisk, which we're seeing from June with no lair, 3 hatcheries. The classic I'm going to kill a Protoss build, just build a bunch of Hydralisks and throw them at him. But this is not a wall off. He didn't take a natural. There's no like wall to break. He would have to go up a ramp, and I'm actually not sure how well Hydras do at that. This is a very weird build from the Protoss. Keeps adding on extra gateways. Still has the Forge upgrading. This is like, he's got the 1 Corsair, so he's getting that full scouting info. He's going to know exactly what's going on. And sees the lair morphing. I don't know if he saw that it just started, though, so...
Now, is this a fast Corsair, or what do you think about the timing of this Corsair?
No, it's the Corsair is as fast as he was going to get it. He got that early Stargate. I mean, the timings on stuff like this seems very unusual. He's moving out with plenty of Zealots that actually, the Lynx taking a little bit of a bad fight, a little more damage than they need to. A little surprised from June that he didn't actually get Lynx speed. He's just got the slow Lynx. Fast enough to run away, but not going to get a good surround or anything. And we don't see any kind of Citadel from the Protoss or anything yet. So he's just kind of using basic core units and pushing forward, hoping to catch June at a bad time before he has defense ready.
And he's getting 2 more gateways, so he's got 4 gateways total. He's getting range and armor upgrades. So it's interesting he's going for kind of 1 base, but getting upgrades and then getting a lot of production on that 1 base. And now he's going in for his attack, which he's actually getting through a lot of Zerglings right now. But there's 2 Sunkens in the back.
Yeah, the Sunken's doing so much work, clearing out all these Zealots. He has plenty of infrastructure back at home to keep the production up, but you can see like he's been trying to reinforce with Dragoons. He doesn't want to have to make the choice between doing Dragoons or Zealots. And with only still 1 base of economy, he's going to be struggling to actually produce out of all these gateways.
Yeah, he could have waited even a little bit longer there. His +1 armor is now just going to finish, but I don't know if that would have made any difference really. Right now he's getting his Dragoons kind of flooded in with Lings, so that's not going to be a good trade for Protoss. And yeah, I think the Protoss is kind of in trouble now. He's just streaming units across the map. I think this was kind of a cool strategy because it forced the the Zerg into playing to, you know, what you wanted to do, which is like this kind of low eco, gateway friendly, like, just like mass a bunch of zealots and dragoons, but I don't think this is like a lasting strategy. I don't see this strategy continuing on for a while past this point in the game.
Yeah, this might be the last chance we're going to see from SOS Toss to really get this figured out, because as the Hydra production starts kicking in, there's still those 2 Sunkets as well. It's going to be hard to push forward, especially early in the game with this. Just having Dragoons without any kind of Zealots or anything else to support, a lot of the Dragoons are really good at fighting that, actually. So it's going to be a rough spot. But now with June having the lair finished, he can move into some tech if he wants to. About to finish his Overlord speed and get a real good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, we're seeing some nice micro from both these players. The Protoss trying to make it happen with his Dragoons, but he's only got a few Dragoons, and there's, he's able to take out a few Zerg units at a time, and he's going to try to just keep reinforcing, which might work on this slow push. But eventually, once the Zerg gets a massive Hydralisk together, there's nothing you can really do with just Zealots and Dragoons. You need a Templar in there as well.
Oh no, that's tragic. As June tried to take the 3rd base, SOS Toss poked up there at just right time and actually ended up killing it. June didn't get the cancel to get the money back, so losing 300 to a hatchery like that, not what you want to see. But now Lang's on the map, and a lot of the force is a little separated from Protoss, so Zerg getting as good of a fight as they're gonna get, but with such small armies, he's actually kind of trading in not a favorable way as Protoss.
No, he's not. Yeah, this Protoss has ended up trading pretty well in these, low unit number battles. And he does have that armor, so his units are very tanky right now. And just Ling's being produced from June, so they're not really getting a lot of that like critical mass that they need. And he's just calling good game now.
Unfortunate one from June. I think he had the good initial start to be set up to deal with that, but losing a couple units here and there, I think all he had to do, if he just built like a little more Sunkens maybe, and then he had kept engaging outside of his Sunkens in front, like by the bridge, and not using like all the force of his defense. So unfortunately, losing game 1 there, but we're gonna go into game 2, and I would love to see if the Protoss does this build again, because it's so interesting to see not some kind of expansion like that. And that's such a great game 1 kind of play too. Just throw your opponent off. It's like, hey, are you ready for this? I don't think you practiced for this.
Yeah, I think you're right about fighting outside the Sunkens, and I think he was thrown off a little bit because his first Sunken was placed farther back, like to deal with 2 Gateway Zealots. And then when the 4 Gateway Dragoon pressure came, his Sunkens were a little too far back, and he wasn't able to micro around them properly. So I think if he has placed maybe forward Sunkens, he could have been able to better hold off that Dragoon attack.
Yeah. Well, we're going into game 2 on the Osilphid. In the top middle, it's June. This time he picked black. He's angry. He's got a dark spirit now. You've unlocked evil June. And in the bottom left, we still have the green Protoss, SOS Toss. Opening very weird in game 1. Curious to see if he's going to keep it up for game 2. That pylon placement. The fact that he hasn't moved to Probe out yet is making me think he's going to do it again. Oh, man. No, I'm taking up the reins from the Blime. If he's not here to be wrong, then I could say things not wrong now. No.
Yeah, it looks like he will go for some kind of gateway or forge expand, placing the pylon at his natural.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what the choice is. We see, especially among the higher tiers, we do a lot of casting of tier 1 and tier 0 for the match of the week. We see a lot of gateway expand at that level, but that requires a certain amount of like awareness and micro. And usually I think the lower you get, forge just becomes a little more common because it just did you build enough cannons. There's no little finesse to it.
Yeah, it's definitely more straightforward. You just build the right amount of cannons and you get your Nexus. You just survive. So it looks like he's going for the Forge first.
This is tragic from the Protoss player. Not getting the correct scout, so doesn't see. He's going for Forge, trying to figure out what build they want to do. But didn't actually see that's Hatchery first from June, so you got to kind of cut some corners to stay equal with the economy. If he ends up building a cannon before he builds his Nexus, this could really set him in a bad spot.
Oh.
Has to build a cannon, respect that he could have been an overpull, things could be on the way. Actually getting the gateway too, this is looking worse and worse before anything even happens. No fights are even happening right now. And this is build order deficit.
Uh-oh. So that's not good from the Protoss, but he is up in the series 1-0, so maybe he's just deciding to be a little bit more safe. Going for this super safe gateway expand, or forge expand with the gateway and a cannon. So he's not going to die to any kind of early lings, and maybe he'll be able to take his expand and force this into a later game.
Yeah, but like, so you're one of the things you were gonna do if you do this forward expand. It's like, all right, you gotta get a forge. Okay, I gotta get a cannon. Maybe I gotta get two, but you still always get the nexus before the gateway. So actually stopping off for this is really a bad look for your economy. It's gonna let him build some units and maybe put some pressure on. But I felt like if you're gonna do that, you could have just opened with a gateway expand and start building units right away.
Yeah, if we look, he's not really producing anything from that gateway, so it does look like it was kind of a wasted move building a gateway this early and not getting a fast zealot.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that are gonna get out of order with the way this is opening up for the Protoss player. June using the opportunity though, seeing that's like, oh, you got a forge, you got this gateway, you're not building anything, because this Overlord's in position to see it all. Just taking that fast third, far away from the Protoss, going to be set up with such a big mid-game economy if he wants it.
Well, I wonder if SOS Toss is more comfortable going with the two gateways in base because, yeah, he kind of does seem to have suboptimally expanded here with this forge.
I mean, this is just like we were seeing in the other series with the Terran player. It's real easy to get the right look, get all the right buildings, but just if you get them out of order, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it makes the world a difference, especially in these early games. You can't afford to have these timings be a little bit off. But making a little bit of use of this gateway, got that first Zell going across the map, and June actually doesn't really have any forces on the ground right now, but where SOS immediately just looking for the third base instead, not even going straight to the main to see what's going on.
Yeah, he seems to have June expanded towards him, but June's actually expanded away from him. And now there is a good amount of Zerglings out. It looks like 8, so he should be able to take out this first Zealot. But the Zerg has been able to just drone up pretty hard here and not forced to build any units until just now. And it looks like he's going for a Spire here. Yeah, he's getting that Spire.
Yeah, that's not unusual at all. Yeah, it's going to be if he's actually going to commit to getting some mutas, or if it's just going to be for Scourge to sway the Corsair threat, which we do see SOS Toss getting that Stargate, so both players getting the things they're supposed to be getting here. Still moving around. Actually might get a drone kill here, but here comes the Zerglings to shut this down.
Oh, he does get one drone kill, but some really nice micro from June pulling the damaged drones away. I just wasn't able to pull that last drone in time. But he was able to conserve a couple other drones, so hopefully that will pay dividends for him later in the game.
A little bit worried looking at the Protoss player here. He's starting to add on extra gateways, but it feels like, again, maybe a little out of order, maybe skipping things and being a little uncomfortable. The Forge not researching anything right now. Has that Stargate going to be working their way towards Corsairs and getting a couple extra gateways for some mid-game unit production, but like, I can't get behind not going for that early weapons upgrades. It feels so good, especially if you like using heavy.
So he sent a couple Zealots around to that mineral only base again, sneaking past the Overlords and the Zerglings, but now he's forced the drones to pull. And the Zerglings are going to get right on top of those Zealots now, and they take out both of them.
Yeah, just not the kind of thing you can really afford to be doing here. It look like June, just like seeing like these little forces. Every time you're losing these little bits of Zealots, it goes, oh, you don't. There's no crazy threat cutting my way. He just built defended that. Just built 7 drones right away. It's a single set of Scourge to try to get this Corsair if you can find it. But other than that, like, he's been setting up for a big economy and still actually had a workers versus the Protoss, which is not usual at all.
Yeah, so some of that strong macro play from June we're seeing that you were talking about. So, yeah, how does the Protoss react to this? And it seems like he's going to have to try to get some aggression going because the Zerg is just taking so many drones right now.
Yeah, I feel like gearing up for some kind of mid-game push will be the way to go. He's got a decent amount of gateways. He's starting to work his way up the tech tree. So maybe like once he has his Citadel, he's going to finish the Zealot legs. He's still a while away from getting the +1, but he might be able to have a Brute Force. It's one Scourge going down to cannons, trying to find that Corsair, wants to get that thing killed.
Now, do you think this was too many cannons here, getting these 3 cannons?
He just doesn't have information what's going on, and Hydras can kind of show up whenever. So I don't think it's that bad to add on one extra one here if you're just not comfortable with the Spire in. There was a Spire, but he didn't see if it was Meteors or not. He doesn't really have a presence on the map. So I think everything he's doing feels pretty reasonable, but it's just June's economy is going to be so hard to deal with because, like, how do you actually move out on the map here? Like, June only has a couple lanes out here, but you can't feel safe going out in the middle of the map right now. There's, like, you have no idea what army might be flying your way.
Yeah, June looks like he switched over from drone production to like straight Hydralisk production now, so he's gonna start massing up an army as soon as he can. I think understanding that the Protoss is gonna go for some kind of 2-base aggression to get back into this game.
I mean, it seems like the reasonable way to go here, but this is the kind of thing where it's from the open I was telling you about, like misordering things. This 2-base kind of aggression. If you had the things in the right order, you'd have a lot more potency to the attack. Maybe your attack would be a little faster. You might have a couple extra gateways even. And just again, losing little bits of army just on the map, but seeing a giant group of Hydras. Here's the reaction. We're gonna see if SOS TOS feels like they need to add on some more cannons, because they need to buy time for that Templar to pop out and get energy for a side storm.
So his forge is
Templar's not even done, so this is gonna be a while away.
Forge is just going to finish +1 right now, so that's going to be good for him. But yeah, it looks like he has light speed, but no storm. Oh, the storm just finished, so he's getting Templar out right now.
Yeah, he got storm, but you need to. Usually, you end up getting the Templar a lot earlier because they take a while to build, and they need to actually build up the energy. So Templar's going to spawn here, but they're not going to be able to storm for a little while anyway. Hydra's going to be able to just start chipping away at this wall. There's only a couple of cannons here. June wants to keep reinforcing his attack and speed up very hard to deal with. And you do see that 11 more Hydras on the way and Burger aspect now for research.
Protoss is going to go down to 5 gateways now, losing that first gateway at the front, and his Forge is getting sniped down too slowly by the Hydralisk. And yeah, he's got to wait for his storms to power up through his High Templar. He needs 75 energy. Right now he's at like 67.
He finally got some that are available to have storm, and June realizing, hey, you're starting to move out. It doesn't feel like that's a good opportunity, and actually just making sure he doesn't clump the wall and stuff before storm can really turn the face of it. Felt like he did the damage he needed to, and just starting to retreat. I would love to see a 4th base being taken, but June really committed to these Hydras, just wants to put the foot down, see if he can get something done here.
Yeah, June getting a Lurker aspect, sending some Hydras in kind of randomly right now, but pulling them back. A lot of Hydralisks out for Zerg, so if he can get a good surround, he can probably destroy this army of Protoss. It's going to come down to what the storms look like.
It's going to be so hard to actually fight this army, though. Once Zealots have that speed up there, they have that +1, they become so much more resilient in fighting. That's why Lurker ends up being a really important thing in this matchup. That's your main defense to make sure it's not just Zealots and Storm. Big Storm hitting a giant group of Hydras. Oh my god, this Storm's doing so much damage. That is exactly
some Hydras went the wrong spot. They're on top of the ledge, kind of onto the left. So he's kind of got half his army split up from the rest, and the amount that's actually fighting is getting destroyed right now by those speed zealots like you were talking about.
I mean, there's still a lot of Hydras here. And after the storms are gone, you can see Archons being made. Not the best unit to use against Hydras, but better than nothing. And with June's economy from before, even though this fight's not going well, he's losing a lot of things. You can see the unit count's still staying very even. He keeps flooding in with these Hydras. Doesn't really get anything. Like, he lost army, but he didn't lose any hatcheries. He didn't lose any drones.
Yeah. Definitely, I think this fight went great for Zerg in the long run because he does have such a good economy. He can just rebuild his Hydralisk pretty easily, whereas the Protoss, it's a little bit more difficult for them to rebuild their army like that. Protoss has taken a 3rd base, though, so he's going to be looking to saturate that. And we'll see how he goes into the later game. He does have his upgrades going pretty good, which is nice, but we'll see, like, Zerg already has a 4th base.
That storm a little
Oh no.
Doesn't really have a giant bank of energy available to kind of throw away storms that look very good. Not a lot of ground force either. So as the Hydras, if they want to keep pushing forward, unlike the fight that we saw before from the Crossfire, there's just not a lot of muscle here actually. And June Overlords, they see that this third base is taken. Now there's a big vulnerability because this is a hard position to hold. While you're through the one side, it's easy for Zerg to get surrounded. But another good storm.
He kind of baited him in there to fight against those cannons.
Finally get some Zergers on the field. They're going to help out this ground fight quite a lot. I don't see any detection available just yet. I think the Robo is done.
The Robo and Observatory are done, but I do not see an Obs. I saw one get sniped, but I do not see another Obs out on the field. The Zerg is just burrowing his lurkers closer and closer to the Protoss natural, and he's going to try to split off the Protoss army from his third base, and then he's going to be able to move in and just destroy these cannons defending the third base.
Meanwhile, while all this is happening, June is setting up that fourth base, throwing up all over the map, still having pretty significant work with it compared to us where, even though us finally on 3 bases now as well. But this is looking, these fights, it doesn't really matter how they're going. Now that there's lurkers on the field, there's not a lot of detection. Now there's 2 points of vulnerability. June, I think, is sitting very comfortably here.
Oh, there's an Obs out.
Yep, here comes the Overlord though. That can get sniped if June's paying attention. And it starts getting it barely gets away with its life, unfortunately.
Good for the Protoss player. It looks like he's buying himself some time here. It does seem just like a slow death though right now. He's just getting pushed back further and further by these waves of Zerg units. And he kind of doesn't have enough to reach that point where Protoss units can trade more effectively.
Yeah, he had that big force that got killed trying to attack June's third, but the moment that kind of dwindled down, the game we count for SOS toss isn't like significantly low or anything, but just June's economy with how he opened was so ramped up and ready to just keep throwing units out.
It's a nice storm at least. Kills some Hydralisks.
Yeah, all these storms are definitely saving this game for SOS. They're doing a lot of damage, more value than they should be getting from them. But you can see that it's like the Hydra gets wiped out, but where's the ground army to support after to push this unit back? And every time this happens and it's not there, like you can only keep building so many Templars. Eventually, you're just not going to have gas income.
I'm really impressed by this kind of stream of units coming across from June, actually, if you think about it. He's kind of just flooding in Zerg units and macroing up behind it, you know, taking additional bases. This is kind of, as a Protoss in this situation, what do, right? You're just pushed so far back, you can't even macro out an army. What do you do?
I usually lose. That's what I would do in this situation. I feel like once Protoss going for their kind of early game push, when the army gets repelled off, and then the Zerg is already comfortably set up on their bases, they're already comfortably set up to build army to keep control of the map. Like now you can see, looking like the Protoss vision is so minuscule. Even though he has this third base, like he can't move out anywhere at all. He has to keep just fighting through these Hydras, through these lurkers. Meanwhile, June just adding on the fifth base, adding on more drones, getting more upgrades. Just keeps moving forward while Protoss kind of locked in this stasis. What do I do now?
Protoss kind of holding off for dear life here, but he's losing his Archons, and there's just so many Zerg units that just keep repeatedly flooding in here. And it's only a matter of time now before the Protoss loses building around the Dragoons, which are not really going to turn back this many Hydralisks.
This is definitely the problem you're going to have with these gateways. Once you start losing all your units, like, what do you build? Do you build the Zealots because they're useful? Do you build the Dragoons because they're a little better against lurkers? Can you afford to keep producing Templar and waiting on the energy? You can see now, like, SOS finally loses the natural. And, like, remember, there's still this third base that he has to, like, that he will have to defend somehow. SOS getting a little cheeky, though, in the bottom right, but not quite enough. It taps out of game 2.
Good game from both those players. I think June really played well coming back from losing that first game.
Yeah, I think just that opening from SOS really just set him on a bad path versus that 12 hatch.
Yeah, the opening is playing a big factor in both games. Showing the variety there that Protoss can go for. We'll see if he decides maybe to be more aggressive on this two-player map, Overwatch.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that happening here again. That you have another ramp you can use to defend. You know where your opponent is, so if you want to do maybe that two gateway stuff, might seem reasonable here. But we're gonna see what our players do. In the top left, we got our green Protoss, SOS Toss, trying to take game 3 and close the series out. And the bottom right, we got June showing the strength of apparently just drones and money. And that's not a great start for our Protoss hero. That's not the thing you want to say.
Their first time both of them? Interesting.
No, June's definitely played on this map. He's lying. He's lying.
Maybe they're both lying here. A little bit of talk just to throw the other person off is always entertaining.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that kind of stuff. Like, if I say something and you're willing to believe me, that's on you.
It's all part of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we're seeing the Overlord's coming out for June. We're gonna see if he's gonna feel comfortable to try that 12 hatchery again. On the two-player map, it does feel a little bit scary because you know that Pro's gonna get there in time to scout, and the Pro is gonna be able to get that reaction whatever they choose it to be.
He was kind of fortunate in the last game about the scouting timing.
But the second Pro moving so quickly, I'm curious if this is supposed to be a Forge or a Gateway. The other one, last game we did see the Forge was a bit more delayed. Ends up just going for the Forge. I'm curious to see how this wall ends up because right now it looks like it might be rough. We'll have to see. And we are just getting that pool instead of a hatchery first for June. So both players just gonna have the tools they need to not die super early.
Yeah, we see safe openings from both these players. The Protoss not really going to block this hatchery. The Zerg hiding his drone, so the Protoss doesn't even think about it. But here comes the Protoss. Is he going to try to place a pylon here? He almost has the mineral.
That's a really rough decision to make.
Can he do it? He's going to do it.
He can do it if he wants to, but you don't want to. You can't afford to throw the 100 minerals at that. When your opponent, if they went overpool, they're going to have lings anyway. And you're delaying your Nexus. You're delaying a second cannon. You're delaying the gateway.
It makes sense.
It's
you're delaying your own expansion.
Yeah, it's a very big commitment. We're seeing it again, getting that gateway instead of the Nexus, and just not good ordering on this kind of stuff. It's overly conservative, and I feel like if he just committed to doing a normal Forge or a normal gateway, he'd be better off. But doing the both of them just feels like he's not maybe not so comfortable in this matchup.
Yeah, we'll see what the Protoss does here. Now he has this gateway. Does he go for more Zealots, maybe? It is normal for him just to take an expansion around this timing, so I'm wondering why he didn't already.
Yeah, the expansion should have already been started a long time ago. So I'm curious if this is going to be some kind of weird play, but with the Pro moving in position now, it just feels unoptimized.
Yeah, luckily for him, the Zerg didn't expand as quickly as the last game, so his economy is not going to be as optimal. But yeah, a disadvantage again, I think, for the Protoss, kind of for no reason, kind of just a suboptimal build there, placing the gateway. But definitely not something you can't overcome.
Yeah, there's always going to be little advantages you can get from this kind of stuff. Where if you have this gateway time, it's a little faster. Maybe your cyber core, you can get to the tech a little bit faster. But delaying your economy, like you saw what happened last game. You can build up a decent army, but the moment he lost it, Drew just had so much more availability to build units, while SOS Toss just couldn't get the army going once he lost his initial burst of it. I don't know. I still don't know about this wall. It feels weird. I think there's a hole at the top. There's like gotta be, right? I think there's like holes everywhere.
I think there might be holes everywhere.
In this game, but that one looks suspect even to me. We're seeing from June though, getting that lair might be the similar kind of thing we saw before. Wants to hopefully get that Spire, just to get the Scourge, to make sure the Corsairs aren't running rampant and blowing up a million things. Now, we are seeing a different kind of build from our player this time. No Stargate. You're just going for Citadel and Gateways, which that can be very potent, especially if your opponent gets caught off guard. But the Overlord's in the main. It has the fullest idea of this. And with things just being a little unoptimized, like, you figure if you're doing something like this, like, your +1 weapons would already be started. You'd be having more Zealots, but he's just, because everything's so delayed, it feels not potent.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he hasn't started +1 weapons on his Protoss ground units. And he has started the legs upgrade, so he's going to get faster Zealots. Now, he has gone up to 3 gateways, so maybe he will try to do some pressure here quickly. But like you said, the Zerg scouted everything. So the Zerg's going to know what he needs to do to respond to this. Whether it's build more Sunkens, get faster Hydralisks, or whatever it happens to be that he chooses to respond to the Protoss build.
Well, I mean, since he's got this Overlord here, he sees exactly what's going on. And actually, if you look at the main, and you look at the natural, there's no cannons in the mineral line. With that Spire about finishing, I would love to see June to actually just get Mutalisks. It's usually a little bit risky, but when you know your opponent doesn't have Corsairs to fight it off, that makes the Zealots have to stay at home. Otherwise, they'll just die in transit.
Yeah, he has gas enough if he wants to build Mutas. He's supply blocked right now, so we'll see if he does.
Got to wait on some Overlords, but I see 2 Mutas in production, so that is the intention. But we do see the Zealots trying to move out a little bit. But this is not going to be a scary force. They have the speed, but they still don't have that +1 weapon, so the lanes can fight them much more effectively than you think they would, and there's going to be some time to get these Sunkens up. But actually, I don't know if the Sunkens are going to get there in time if the Zealots just commit to the fight.
They are forcing out these Sunkens, and the Sunkens are not ready, like you were saying. So now the Junes are trying to hold them off as much as they can. But these Mutas are just overhead shooting at everything. Oh, look at all these drones getting massacred right now.
That's big economic damage for June, but he does get the Sunkens up. The Zealots not committing to killing those off. Now Mutas have popped, but they're still killed Zealots pretty slow as they move into the main, trying to get more damage. This attack going very well for SOS Toss, and I think just June didn't react to what he was seeing. He didn't respect how fast this push can get here on this player mount.
Yeah, it was an interesting build, not getting the +1 attack, but actually going for a little bit of faster leg speed maybe, and getting that leg speed and attacking before the Zerg even had his Sunkens ready. I think if those Sunkens are up, that fight goes a lot differently, but they weren't, and the speed of the Zealots really caught the Zerg off guard.
Yeah, well, we're seeing the transition from SOS Toss going into the Temple and Archives. Going to make sure you have the choice of getting Archons or getting Storm, both very useful tools. And hang on a little bit of some cannons to help defend against the Mutas, but as they approach into the main, not a lot of them, but already starting Dragoon production, I think SOS Toss should feel pretty comfortable here to not lose a bunch to these Mutas.
Yeah, I think as June, you lost a lot of drones just then. You most likely wanted to do some damage with your Mutalisks, and it's not a good feeling realizing there's a bunch of Dragoons in the main that can already repel your Mutalisk.
I mean, June is doing the things he needs to do. He's being very aggressive at this point, realizing it's like, alright, I don't have the tools I really need. He's trying to get some stuff done, but really, if he just keeps the Protoss pinned back, he's building a lot of drones, he's buying time to get the Hydra then set up. And he might be able to move to a strong macro game anyway, because doing all this, SOS Toss not super great about the worker production.
Yeah, and he's taking out some workers at that natural expansion for the Protoss, so he's trying to get back in this game. He is a little bit behind, but he's got his Hydralisk tech going. He's upgrading now, so this game will go on. The Zerg definitely not at too far of a disadvantage, even though he did lose those all those drones at his natural base.
Yeah, I would love to see here though that June, he's starting to saturate these other bases, really cranking up the worker count. In the last like couple minutes, it went from in the teens to 43, really macroing extra hard. But I think at some point you do have to start making army units, and I hope he doesn't get caught off guard. Muta's trying to find another angle. Dragoon's already in position, plus the photon cans. I think that's enough to make these Mutas finally give this up.
Yeah, I think one of the values of what the Protoss is doing is he's defending with Dragoons instead of building a bunch of cannons, and he's getting Archons now too. So maybe he will try to be aggressive with his more mobile army and force the Zerg to pay for just building all these drones in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a very reasonable expectation, especially +1 weapons being done, lots of Dragoons made, and a couple Archons to really bolster that front line if you need anything, because with everything being built here, we're not seeing a giant mass of Hydrals just yet. There might be a great opportunity for SOS to also attack here.
Yeah, this map has a long rush distance, but SOS is just going across the middle of the map. The Mutas might be looking for High Templar, but they don't really see any. There's one. Are they going to get it, though? Nope. So he just lost all his Mutas. They're basically for free, but the first Zealots are arriving at the Zerg Natural.
Yeah, and you just see this Protoss army streaming across the map. Lots of drones being made. The SimCity's pretty going to be hard to deal with as well, with the Sunkens in a good position, but SOS has more Dragoons than you're probably used to seeing at this point, and I think this attack might be enough to really get something done, especially if he had a High Templar with the army, but I guess he lost it.
Yeah, these High Templar need to get in the fight. He's bringing in some reinforcements from his third base. He does have a lot of Hydras, but the Zealots are right on top of them now.
Yeah, this attack going very well for SOS, killing off that stack defense. Storming some Hydras. I would actually storm the drones right there. That sounds like it's always going to be valued to kill off a bunch of those.
Yeah, I agree, but just deciding to kill army now, maybe hoping he can just overwhelm the Zerg. The Zerg does have very good reinforcements. This might be a repeat of last game. They did trade armies here, but the Zerg fighting at his own hatcheries is able to produce more and more. Some Zealots already getting into the main of the Zerg, however, so if he's able to kill some drones with his Zealots, this might all pay for itself.
Yeah, unfortunately, lost the Hydra then to the push, and actually there's a Zealot killing the Spire, so lost the Spire as well. So
oh no.
Key structures going down for June,
yeah.
Army choices. And you don't want to be forced into just Hydras.
Or even just Lings. It looks like he's just Lings right now, and that's definitely bad against these +1 Zealots.
This Protoss attack really getting a lot of damage done in the natural, clearing out all the drones. And you can see that the third has some static defense. It's trying to be defended up, but I think one of the big things we're missing here from June is that it just doesn't have lurkers yet. It doesn't have that really good ground force to fight this kind of massive army that's focused solely on data.
Yeah, maybe June got a little too greedy that game and wasn't able to totally overwhelm the Protoss there in the fight with his reinforcements. Losing his tech buildings definitely didn't help, and now he's losing pretty much all of his drones at the natural, and he's unable to mine from there. So definitely had a disadvantage here. We're seeing kind of this this Protoss army just get massively reinforced across the map repeatedly.
Especially can't send them to take a bad fight right away. Zealots don't care about that ramp. They're going to run right up. Just questioning. SOS moving into the main. Also sending a group of Zealots over to the third, forcing June to make a decision about what he really wants to try and protect first.
June's going to be able to hold on to that third because he has Sunkens in the mineral line, but there's nothing defending his drones here in the main, and there's so many drones kind of oversaturating that expansion. The main base, anyway.
And it's our time. 15 kills already. If he just starts walking towards the drone...
Yes, get in those drone lines.
He's actually ignoring it entirely, just wants to go straight for the buildings and keep knocking down the production so June can't catch up. But One thing we are seeing here, though, as the attack's going well, SWS's still not trying to take a third, not adding on gateways or anything. The macro's not going as well as it could be, so as well as his attack is going, it definitely could be going better.
Yeah, I think at this point, though, he must be pretty comfortable. He's totally got the Zerg on one base right now, so he knows he can just stream in units, and eventually the Zerg will run out. But I guess you're right. He could try to take a third base. And yeah, as you say that, the Zerg is actually in the bottom left, which I didn't notice. So if the Zerg can rebuild, he's what?
The black color, a little hard to see on the minimap.
Yeah, he is. If he can rebuild his tech, he might have a chance here. We'll see.
I mean, he's already had that opportunity. You see the Zealots and the Mate trying to kill his Hydra. Then if he can keep killing this off and making the army for June just so limited in what it's able to do. A couple Zealots catching these drones that are transferred, so the gig is up. That lower left base is definitely exposed. And June taps out. I'm really surprised that's how that game went. June got that full vision that was to sit it off first and just a little too greedy, and it just got out of hand.
Yeah, June definitely had a good opportunity there. He knew what was coming. He just wasn't able to completely stop it. It looked like the Protoss was pretty low on workers too, so I thought June had a chance there. Even in the later game, it just didn't quite go his way in that big engagement.
Well, we're going into our fourth set of the day. We're doing 5 sets today, guys, so we're going to get a bunch of good games. We still got plenty of content for you guys coming up. And this one, the classic matchup. TBZ, we're going to see it again. This time with the players a little bit higher skill.
Nice.
So this one's going to be interesting. In the bottom left, we have Kinzaki Renko, one of the CPL mainstays that keeps saying he's only good at one matchup. And and in the bottom right, we got Og Nasty, or Agnes TY. I'm just going to say he's Nasty. So I'm curious to see what these guys are going to do, but I mean, we saw it in the tier 3 game, and I think it's hard to argue. Like, you could just do the Goliath build. Like, it's right there. The option, there's nothing stopping it.
I mean, that guy lost 0-2 though, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't because of the build.
Yes, but if he had won 2-0, it wouldn't have been because of the build either. It would have been because of his own skill, right? So don't make it simple like just do the Goliath build, because it doesn't always work.
Listen, you're new to casting on Match of the Week. When I make a prediction, I'm usually right. So I'm just saying, yeah, it does. I'm going to say, yeah, it does.
Okay, I'm new to casting. That's true.
For the chat, the game we just saw with June, and that was a tier 2 game. That's what we're going to be watching rest of the night, tier 2. So I think that's on the upper side of tier 2 as well. Which I believe the MRR range kind of like peaks at like 1500-ish, probably, for tier 2.
Okay, so we see the Terran player, it looks like going for a wall off, might even be adding gas here pretty soon, so maybe it will be that famous Goliath build that, doesn't lose games here.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets offline, maybe it doesn't lose games. The Zerg player is going for that 12 hatchery, get the larva up. Now we're gonna have to see, is it gonna be that third hatch, or is it gonna be a 2 hatch play, which feels like a lot more common, but I can understand why the tier 3 players were a little more reserved about trying it.
Yeah, 2 hatch really being dependent on your Muta micro and getting damage done with your Mutalist, so I could see that being a part you would struggle with as a tier 3 player, because I know anyway Muta micro is not easy to learn.
We're actually seeing things looking a lot cleaner for the Terran player here, getting the barracks and the gas at the right amount of time. It's going to sync up where the moment he gets the money for it, he can build that factory, won't have to wait around. And we're seeing gas coming out for the Zerg player pretty quickly, but not seeing that third hatchery. I think we're going to be committed to some 2 hatchery play. This is a bit interesting, right? Like, I thought I'm used to seeing when you get the first factory, you actually pull guys out of gas, but he's keeping all of them in.
Yeah, so I don't know if this signifies maybe a Wraith play or 1-1-1, but he is still mining that gas. This could be a mistake as well, but I think this will determine he's going to take an even later expansion and maybe try to get a starport out here.
Terran player getting their SCB in, seeing that it is 2 hatchery and seeing the fast lair, so gonna have that idea of what's going on. And I feel like on some maps there's a little more of a choice, like, oh, maybe it's lurkers, maybe it's mutas, but I feel like in this one it's gotta be mutas, right? Like, it's just too hard to make lurkers work, like trying to assault into the base.
Yeah, I guess one basing Terran, I don't think you really want to go for fast lurkers, but I'm not too sure about that. One basing Terran is kind of rare. Here's the 2 starports going down though, so maybe you could try to defend this with just Hydralisk. Definitely going for lurkers, I don't think it's the right move. He did see with his Overlord that there was no expansion for the Terran player.
What wacky nonsense. Is this like just real 2-port Wraith, like cool Lita kind of? Oh man, like, I didn't know this was gonna happen, but this is awesome if we actually see this executed like reasonably well, because the build is so fun to watch. It's so active. You get to actually do harassment as Terran. That's not just like I did vultures, haha. So it's fun to watch, but they're so flimsy. It's so easy to lose like your entire investment on these raids if that's what you're going for. And with Oganasti going for that Spire, he's gonna have the option to fight with mutas or have some Scourge, and those raids are gonna be difficult to control.
Well, speaking of flimsy, that first Vulture going in and just dying immediately to the Sunken Colony, so that's unfortunate for Terran, as he's going to want that Vulture to give him map control and defend against lanes. But he is producing 2 Wraiths, and he's about to have them both finished. He's got his SCV behind the main mineral line, so he can stack his Wraiths together to make them stay closer together. And he's going into the Zerg base right now. He's going to try to pick off Overlords or drones right before this... Yeah, what is he producing? He's got a Spire, so before the Spire finishes, he has free reign in here.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, just a Goliath good scouting info. There's no anti-air here, so he gets to choose what he's going to go for. He's going to end up going for the Overlord. I think this makes a lot of sense. If you see the Spires coming, you can get a supply block before the mutas get in production. You're just going to slow all that down.
Yeah, here's Overlord finishing just in time, and so the mutas will get built.
But it still is only 3, and as like the Wraith production hasn't halted just yet, with Cloak on the way now as well. Like I don't know what the numbers are on when Wraiths like actually could take fights. I feel like you would need a crap ton though, because the glaive would do so much damage to it, right?
Yeah, he's gonna lose 2. Oh.
Oh no. Oh no.
So he only gets 1 Scourge to detonate on that Wraith, so the Wraith is still alive with 10 HP. That's what we mean by like flimsy, so they're paper planes. But he's retreating it back to his own base.
Oh, he's actually going for some moving shots to kill the Scourge and then flies to a pack of mutas.
And now another Wraith is kind of sneaking by on the bottom right side, but it might get caught by these mutas. Actually, once Cloak finishes, these Wraiths will get a lot stronger against Mutalisk.
Yeah, I like the movement.
But he needs to keep this Wraith alive. Keep it alive. Uh-oh.
Like I said, I like the movement from Ranko. He's pulling the units here and there. Like, the mutas haven't gotten to the main to see what's going on yet. He's bought enough time to actually finish the Cloak.
He cloaks. Wow. That was clutch play right there, or at least just fortunate for the Terran. He's able to cloak and get away from that battle. But I think as the game goes on, the Zerg is going to be able to produce air more effectively. Already the Zerg has a good amount of Mutalisks and some Scourge, and those will trade pretty well with the Wraiths. It's now a matter of the Terran getting Ground Force together to go and try to push and break the Zerg. I think that's how you play this build. So I don't think you can continue massing Wraith and just try to overwhelm the Zerg. I don't think it works that way. But we'll see.
I am not sure, honestly. It's one of those things where it's like, I haven't seen it in so long, I forget how you actually win games. I assume it's just you annoy your opponent's death, but we see now at the Natural, Spore Colony on the way. The moment that's done, this gets way harder.
Yeah, but he does have Cloak Wraith and a lot of them. This first battle is going to be very important. Oh, and he gets caught right next to the Overlords, but now he's retreated outside of range of the Overlord. There's nothing that can actually see these Wraith, but he's bought enough time. He does have that Spore up, and he's losing a lot of Wraith. This is good defense by the Zerg player so far. Those Wraiths really did no damage.
I mean, they didn't do a lot of damage, but they did at least fight off some units pretty hard. And you actually see the Zerg supply pretty low in comparison. The worker count not particularly high, lost a good amount of mutas, and there's no ground force to really speak of. So these races are getting a lot of stuff done, but as that second support goes up, all but a couple of the raids end up taking down. A lot of them are low health as well, and about to run out of energy. We're seeing the transition from the Terran player going back into adding on his bio. Finished the command center, but he hasn't moved it down yet. And we're still just, let's add on wraiths. Lots of wraiths. It's gonna be Wraith Marine, I guess. And Ognasty up in the upper right, taking a third base after all this is finally settled down and realizing, well, if there's not a ground force, you can't go push that base, right? So I think he's feeling comfortable.
Yeah, that's a long push distance for sure. The Zerg player needs to get, I think, Hydralisks and Lurkers out now. But like you're saying, he's kind of low on workers. He doesn't really have a big standing army to speak of. So the Terran player is comfortable taking his own expansion. And now he's able to expand. And once he gets that base saturated, he'll be able to start producing off a lot of barracks here, which is going to be hard for the Zerg to counter considering he's got so heavily into just Mutalisks.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I am a little concerned. I feel like I'm not seeing these infantry upgrades. It's a big transition to go back into bioplay and do something a little more stable. But like he's not getting the engineer bay, he's not keeping up on the upgrades so they're ready to actually fight. So especially once this carriage base is done, and then if we keep adding on units, they have +1 armor. They're going to be able to fight these people pretty effectively. But here comes the raid squad.
Well, this is going to be a very important battle, and he focuses down that Overlord, and now the Mutas are forced to retreat, and they're all going to die, basically. The Wraiths are able to move shot back the Mutalisk. Oh, he actually gets away with a decent amount.
I mean,
He gets 3 out of there.
That's a lot of kills, though, and now with these Mutas being killed off, it's going to be kind of free reign to start doing harassment again. Just got to stay away from these sport colonies. Not going to be able to fight those. You actually see the race just actually trying to straight up take the fight, thinking there's enough muscle there, but
I think there is now.
Some of them pretty significantly bruised, but they're definitely getting their job done. Lots of kills going through.
Some really nice micro.
Yeah, we're seeing the same kind of stuff that you see when someone goes really heavily into Corsairs. They just keep fighting these overlords. They can fight the Muta. It's pinning back to Zerg the same way, where there's no map control, there's no vision of what's going on. And all this is just buying time for Terran to finally set up that second base. And now we got the Wraith Fleet going up to the top right. There's no anti-air here yet, so whatever drones pop out, probably not long for this world.
Yeah, and Zerg's staying on Mutalisk production, which I think at a certain point, if you're massing Mutas against Wraith, like it's just not going to work anymore. You need at least some Scourge in there or something to force the Wraiths to turn around, because the Wraith DPS is too high in anti-air, I think.
I mean, I feel like there is a point, though, where you have too much of it, where it's like Scourge are never going to get to the race, so I don't think it's that good a thing. You see the race trying to harass these buildings, and they do more damage than you give them credit for when you have this many of them.
Yeah, the Muta's going to try to engage here. Once those Wraiths cloak, though, the Mutas have to run away.
I mean, Wraith's still taking pretty significant damage. They're getting a lot of value, but remember that he is investing a lot to keep reducing them as well. But this is all buying time, stim research on the way, adding on more barracks. So eventually he's going to just stop at the race stuff and go. I'm guessing he's just going to go into like an SK Terran, because you already have the starports. You're building a bunch of barracks. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, he can totally follow this up with a Marine bio push behind it. He's even got a tank and maybe siege mode. So he's going to just transition into a standard game. He just needs to decide how much does he want to keep investing in these Wraiths. Meanwhile, the Zerg has to counter the Wraith with Mutas, which it looks like he's doing now. He's able to take out all but 3 of the Wraiths, so he's able to hold on to this base in the top right. But yeah, what is the transition now from Zerg? He's got all these Mutalisks. That's good, I guess. He's not going to die to Wraith, but how is he going to counter all this Marine Medic that's being produced now?
Well, with the Queen's Nest on the way, I think going into Hive Tech makes a lot of sense. And if you're actually going to keep investing into these mutas and he keeps making up, I wonder if his plan might actually be going to Greater Spire. The Browns are a very good answer to dealing with these wraiths since they group up and that attack does that splash. Plus they're beefy. They got all that beef.
So he is going into Hive and he's getting his Hydralisk down, which is finishing now.
I think that's going to be just in time, but with the bio moving out, I was hoping he was going to rush for the lurker aspect, but actually not going for that. He's going to go for the actual Hydra upgrades to have them as a fighting force, but this bio force is moving across the map. This is terrifyingly strong.
Yeah, I think he could just push the net and just run it over with this many medics and marines, but he's going for the third base in the top left, which is going to give the Zerg time to kind of prepare, I guess, what he can to defend this base. But it's going to be hard for the Zerg to reinforce here. He does have 2 Sunkens on that cliff.
And it's still just a lot of units for Terran. They're moving out on the map, and now we're going to see, like, you can see a bunch of creep colonies going down. He's trying to make sure that the bio can't go up this ramp. But lurkers would do that job so much better. And here's that transition I was thinking about for this SK.
The Guardians.
Oh no, we got the science vessel Radiant's on the way. Wraith production is finally over. We're gonna go into a much more. It's a weird way to get here, but this looks like a much more normal Terran style now.
Well, this one siege tank with siege mode is going to start doing work on these Sunkens, and the Wraith are just going to kite a little bit out of range. So this is going to be an interesting little micro battle from these players as the Mutas and Wraiths kind of go back and forth. Oh, the Wraiths have cloaked now. The Mutas just now engaging with that Overlord. Some Hydralisks even coming out.
Yeah, this race is providing vision for this tank to try to shell off some of these defenses. Definitely helping out a lot here. As Hydra's trying to get reduced to fight this. You can even look though, we're pretty far into this game. The Zerg's still only on 28 drones, still only has the third base. Hasn't even like saturated that third gas yet. Hive tech.
Yeah, he does have that Hive tech. Let's see what he decides to do with it.
I mean, right now, I'm curious, like, can you even afford to do anything with that? I feel like you're pressured so hard right now to just actually try and defend this base. Because losing this base feels like it's going to be a very hard hill to climb back over.
He's going to try to target that tank, I think that's what he's got to do.
Beautiful array.
Oh, beautiful, yeah.
They're not being spread out either. They're doing so much damage to everything. This is going to make these units way worse than dealing with these Marines. Now the siege tank basically going to be able to attack them.
So that's the dangerous thing on Mulus. Too long when you get irradiated like that, it feels really bad to lose your whole flock to one spell. So now these Sunkens, are going down slowly to the science vessel, and that siege tank finally goes down.
That's unfortunate. That finally happened. There's plenty of Sunkens still up, so it's gonna be hard to move up the ramp and actually put pressure on. We can see that from Terran deciding to decline pushing that further and maybe switch the attention over to the natural, which looks a lot easier to defend. And unfortunately, that Greater Spire in the wall of the natural, so if he gets pressure there, you might lose some very important tech.
All the Hydralisks up at the third base. He does not have a nice colony yet, so he has no way to transport them back. And he could just get kind of caught in here if these Marine medics try to do a push. There's only a few Sunkens left, and he has siege tanks too.
Yeah, this is a very robust army for the Terran player. The Greater Spire still pretty far from finish away, and you still have to morph whatever units you give him. So that's tech that's not going to be helping him survive anytime soon. These mutas might be forced to fight. I don't know how you're going to choose to engage this. As the static defense falls, these tanks kind of slow crawl. The Seeds are trying to do an attack from the north, maybe to get us around, but we'll see if it's enough.
So Zerg's stuck on Hydralisk right now, which is like the opposite of the composition you want to fight what you're facing. He needs to have, I guess, lurkers to deal with these Marine medic. I don't know how else he can deal with them. Definitely the Hydralisks are not going to do it. He's getting Guardians now, though, so if he can buy enough time, get these Guardians out, and not lose them all to irradiate, that's going to be the key thing. Then he'll be able to maybe push back this Terran attack.
Oh,
but look at that, the irradiate coming in here, and it destroys all these Guardians, basically.
He did lose 2 side vessels doing that, and now the energy for future raids is much lower, so The Guardians took a lot of damage. That defense matrix in that first Marine, pretty key here. I think expecting there to be lurkers, but with nothing there, it's just kind of this
Lurkers coming in. I mean, Hydra is coming in from the back, but they're actually getting shut down pretty hard. Only one siege tank left, but so much Marine medic. I don't see what the Zerg can possibly macro out now to deal with this, and he calls the game.
Yeah. That looks like a rough one. I think playing against a strategy like that two-port raise, if you're not used to it, it looks like it gets out of hand really fast. I wasn't sure how much it was actually going to end up doing, but then once it started working, he took full control of that game.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty strong play from Kazaki Renko.
That's such a weird build though. Like, what inspires someone to try that kind of build? You know?
Yeah, I guess you got to watch the meta and be inspired. Yeah, he has some pretty awesome games.
Yeah, giant library if you want to look up that build and learn how to play it. But we're on game 2 for Sylphid. See, I can't imagine he goes for it again on this map, but man, I would love it if I was just like, that's the strategy. In the top middle, we got our orange Zerg, Ugnasty, and in the bottom right, we got Kazaki Renko, who is typing in languages I can't read. I'm curious to see what the play is going to be here. We did see at the end of that game, looked like Renko very comfortable controlling SK Terran also, so just being able to move his bio around without too much issue, comfortable using science vessels. So, and I feel like that is a build that would work on this kind of map, maybe a little bit more than 2-port Wraith.
Yeah, I can see 2-port Wraith even working on this. I don't know. I don't see why it couldn't work, but yeah, we'll see what the Terran pulls out. He did show nice control, and I guess not having to win it with the Wraith, being able to transition back into a standard game with the SK Terran, and playing with science vessels and siege tanks. He showed, he can play both styles. And now he's getting for a wall in, so maybe he will try to get a gas here pretty soon.
Let's see if there's an adaptation in the builds from the Zerg player. I feel like there wasn't anything terribly bad about what they were doing here. It's just that first fight with the race. He lost a couple mutas early on. The Scourge didn't quite do enough, and then after that it was just too hard to catch up. But I don't think there's anything wrong if you want to do this 2-hatch mutalist again.
Yeah, I think he was slightly caught off guard last game. So if the same thing happens this game, I think his reaction will be better. But like you said, I didn't see too many of those, totally telltale signs of a misplay. I think he did react pretty well. He didn't take the great engages that he wanted with his Mutalists against those Wraith. But other than that, his play looked pretty solid. He did go for some Guardians in the late game, which didn't really pay off.
Yeah, I mean, I think going for Guardians is a little bit underutilized. They are surprisingly strong at just actually taking fights, but one of the big problems is, like what you were saying, when it happened, Radiate is so good at shutting them down. Plus, if he actually kept some of those Wraiths alive, that's a great answer for them too.
Yeah. Yeah, he lost so many Mutalists to Radiate that game that was really hard for him to come back and win. Still, he's denied the factory.
We're going to see what's going on. I mean, he pulled some guys out of gas, so it's a little bit different than the build we saw before. But I think he is going to have the gas income to go for 2 star ports this time. But he needs to get this scout out of the base. He walled off it. He doesn't want to commit to showing what he's planning.
I mean, he's already shown he's taking gas, so he should be planning his factory by now. Oh, and he's building a barracks, actually. So this is totally a mind game that I was not expecting. He's going 3 barracks off 1 base now that he's killed the scouting probe. And he's walled to try to deny that any more scouting. Meanwhile, the Zerg's going for 2 hatchery with the sunken. With the spawning pool.
Yeah, we're going into that lair tech, so feeling comfortable about what it was before. Now, I'm curious if he is going to get a little bit baited, thinking it's like, oh no, you're just waiting for the factory, like he's going to be expecting some kind of mechanical play. And then if he goes in with 2-hatch Muta, and it's like, oh crap, there's a bunch of Marines here.
I think the play is going to be actually to hit a timing here right as Stim finishes off 1 base. But maybe he waits for Mutas to come out. I think he's going to try to finish him off before Mutas even get out on the map. And just do some kind of really strong one base timing with these 3 barracks. Which might work because the Overlord went to the wrong position first. So the Zerg doesn't really know much about the expansion timing of the Terran. So he might think it is that 2-port Wraith again. I doubt he's expecting what he's going to see, though, with these 3 barracks.
Definitely a tricky build. The SCV scout and the Zerg finally gets killed, but it definitely saw the Spire. It saw that there isn't a 3rd hatchery being laid just yet. And with that first sunken being done and the Hydralisk Den made at the front, I think there's plenty of options for Nasty, whatever he wants to end up doing here.
Zakirenko gonna get a little bit supply blocked here, I think, but he does have a good amount of Marine Medic that he should be comfortable just pushing across the map at this point, because this stim is so close to finishing.
Yeah, especially since if you look at the units that we're seeing, like having these couple fire bats gonna definitely make this army a little more robust if he gets there. Now you can see the force moving out. Curious if this is actually gonna be enough when you only have this many Marines, and now we're seeing Lang starting to move out on the map, Hydras as well. I feel like if you just directly engage this Zerg, this fight goes really poorly for you.
Yeah, no, I think the Terran's going to win this fight. We'll see how this goes. But that amount of Marine Medics this early in the game, the Zerg's going to have to pull back, because I think he really doesn't want to be fighting this out there on the map with his Hydralisks that are slow right now. So he's forced back to retreat.
Trying to get a little bit of time, get the second sunken up. It looks like it, with Renko kind of stopping, not just barreling through with the push, it will have enough time to get the sunken online. But Stim goes in, trying to break through sunkens. The Hydra's helping out a lot. And there's plenty of Marines doing a good amount of damage. Second sunken finally finishes up. We're going to start to help repel this. And I think Zerg has just barely enough to repel this after the second.
Sick holds from Zerg.
This is a big loss now, though. You're going to lose all those medics, and
GG.
that, I'm not even surprised by that, honestly, that you would go for that committed of a play, and then when it doesn't work, you just tap out.
I don't think there was a reason for him to actually push, though. I think knowing your opponent is only on Hydralisk, why not wait and macro up higher? But in any case, we are on to game 3, it looks like.
Yep, we're going to see Overwatch just a little bit again. Just a nice little balance that we're seeing. Things actually get to game 3, which is always super nice. Not to be rude to friend Buddy, but not while we're doing casting.
You know, can't shoot. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, it's a CPL dude. Speaking of CPL dudes, in the top left, it's Kenzaki Renko, picking the white Terran this time. And in the bottom right, it's Nasty, taking teal instead of orange this time. Now, I am a little concerned after seeing what happened there, because Renko did a weird build in game 1, and it worked out well. And then game 2, he did a little unusual build again, trying to end the game fast. I wonder if he's actually a little bit afraid to just play the standard game.
I've seen Kenzaki Renko play a +1 5-racks before, so I know he can play a standard game. I'm not sure why he decided to pick all these builds. Maybe like TY2 is his coach or something. I don't know.
Oh man, we do have some coaches this season that are just they're a little more adventurous with their builds. They'll encourage you to be the little butterfly you want to be.
Which is fun. There's nothing wrong with trying new builds. It's definitely made for an exciting series, I think. These 2 very different builds Kenzaki Renko has picked out so far.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly a good assessment of this. I would like to see like just traditional bioplay, because like we saw in game 1, once he transitioned into it, I felt like he was very good at making the decision making with the bio, that he wasn't forcing bad fights. He knew when to back off or when to stay around. He was like using the army movement pretty good. So it feels like it's a strength of his. So I'm surprised he's not just playing into it. Maybe like a little 2 racks academy, or like the 5 racks +1, like you're saying. Just something that gets some just core units and play normal.
Yeah, well now would be the timing for him to take the gas. It doesn't look like he's going to do it, so we might see that more standard bio play you're asking for here.
That'd be fantastic. Then we're going into game 3, and then it's gonna be a little more standard. Although the weird stuff, I love the weird stuff, but like when it's the deciding game, I don't want it to be like, oh, I lost because I was trying like 4 factory vultures. But we're seeing that 12 hatchery just on production, still getting gas, still getting pool. Ugnassi seemed very comfortable with this 2 hatchery play, and I wouldn't be surprised if he just goes for it again. Getting the drone in the base though, and should see that there is no gas. He did go up high enough to confirm that, so. Actually, just taking the drone, not even trying to keep the thing in the base. He got enough information, everything he was looking for, and he just heading right back home. So what about you? You're a Terran player. What kind of build do you like doing on this map? Or what are the features that would make you choose?
Well, for one, you could wall on this map, so that would be nice if you wanted to utilize the wall. But right now, he's going for a bio play. It looks like he's actually going for +1 5 res because he's taking his gas so early. But I don't know if that's really a build you do against 2-hatch Muta or, this 2-hatchery play that the Zerg has gone for so far.
Yeah, my understanding
we'll
is that build is kind of designed to punish 3 hatchery play, right?
Yeah, so I don't know why he's taking this gas so early before he's even building his second barracks. So we'll have to see what he decides to use that early gas with.
SCV trying to get back into main to see. He saw the lair was started, but if he kept that alive long enough to see what the tech choice was, because this would be about the time you would see a higher list tank go down if it was going to be some kind of lurker rush. And we're seeing Terran not being super greedy, getting that bunker. Always makes me nervous when like lanes are going across the map and they just I got Marines, we're good. I don't need them.
Yeah.
But you see the bunker not quite completed yet. Marines gotta be careful. Don't want to lose those just before the building's up to keep them really solidly defended.
This bunker not really in the best place. Could be a little bit farther down. We see this Terran player placing a factory now, so we see what he's using his gas for. Let's see where he goes from here with his factory. He stopped Marine production for the time being. So he does have enough to fill up that bunker. But where does he go from here? Because the Spire has started for the Zerg, so he knows the 2-hatch Muta is on the way now. So what's his answer going to be for those Mutas, which he must at least presume are coming?
Yeah, well, I even, if nothing else, just want to see when he's going to get the things you're looking for, like if you're going to get the academy to get your comms set, when you're going to get your engineering base so you can start making turrets, or if he's just going to add on some factories and just, build the units that he's going to need to actually fight this. And here comes that armory, so looking like he is just going to be going into Goliath, I think.
Yeah, now you would want the add-on if you're going into straight Goliath. Maybe he's producing 1 Vulture now ahead of time. I'm not sure why. But you wouldn't need that add-on to get the Goliath range, because right now, Goliath range is going to be so delayed. And that's already an issue when you're playing against a 2-hatch Muta. Your range is going to be slightly delayed. So it being delayed even more could be a huge issue here if the Terran player doesn't get enough turrets up by the time these Mutas reach his base.
Yeah, I think getting that first Vulture might have been smart, though. Without having real good knowledge, getting that Vulture helps you really respect that. Like you're saying, the bunker's a little bit out of position, so having that little extra defense in case lanes do just run by, maybe that was the plan he's going for. Yeah. And we do see Zerg in that bottom left base now, so you're going to be able to use these Mutas. But there's no Sunken at the natural this time. Vulture just be able to get in, but the Mutas are here to make sure this doesn't last too long.
This was a little bit of a hidden mech play from Kazaki Renko. He started out looking like he was going bio, and then he did take his gas and go straight into 3 factories. So he's producing these Goliath, he's getting his Goliath range just started now. But there's a lot of Mutalisks out on the map already. So if the Zerg player can punish the Terran for only having 1 Goliath out and not having range finished, this could be good for him. But right now it doesn't look like he's getting too much damage done to the Terran player and his economy.
Yeah, but as we see the Mules count keeps getting higher, and that 3rd base for the Zerg is starting to get established, this is all the time that you're going to need to really just stop the Terran from comfortable enough to push out. That way you can get your bases up, get your defenses ready for later. And we're actually seeing Evolution Chamber going down now for the Zerg player. Still hasn't started a Hydra Den, so you're just going to rely on Mutas for a little while, not really trying to force his way through Lurkers, which is usually that kind of transition you're expecting. But I guess not against if you're expecting a mech play as much.
Yeah, he's doing some nicer picking off workers here at the Terran Natural, and he is taking that bottom left base, getting a Hydralisk Den. So he must be expecting this Goliath production to continue.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. If you're showing Mutalisks anyway, like it'd be weird for you to not keep producing with it. It looks like he's gonna try to get a poke at the base. He's gonna see the factory count. I think. Did he get close enough to actually see it?
I don't think he did get to see the factory count.
He did not.
But yeah, there's not a whole lot of factories in here quite yet, and the Zerg, depending on how fast he goes for these Hydralisks here, he could try to get some damage done here before enough siege tanks get out. But here comes that timing for the Terran. He's just going to get one of his upgrades finished. He's going for +1 attack, and it's like just about to finish, maybe 1/10 of the way to completing.
Yeah, always unfortunate to attack just before that your upgrades finish. Not helping.
Yeah, he's kind of walking into some links right now.
It's going to be rough though. We're just trying to stay back and threaten a backstab, but Terran now having a reasonably substantial force moving across the map, going to force a little bit of defense to be made from the Zerg and see if we can get something done. Meanwhile,
Yeah, Muta's trying desperately to do that backstab, but Terran is not turning around. He has enough turrets in place. He's able to just move into the... Oh, he's kind of just walking, though.
Oh no.
Losing some Goliath for free, definitely not what you want to do. And now he's forced to turn around. So the Mutas took some heavy damage there, but they were able to at least turn around this Goliath push with his help of his Hydralisk at the rally point. So this has been a good victory for the Zerg to at least buy himself some more time.
We're seeing just full retreat from Terran just to make sure he doesn't get caught in open field in a fight he doesn't want. This Zerg's going to use his time though. He's get that third base down the corner, starting to saturate that pretty heavily with drones. Actually, the worker count about even compared to Terran, but a little higher than it was in these previous games, a little less scrappy. Meanwhile, we got the Queen's Nest on the way, so I think that transition you might be thinking about as they're getting into that high tech knowing comes soon, but man, these Goliaths just making it so hard for the viewers to actually get in the base and see if they can get anything done.
The Mutas drawing the Goliath into the back, and then the Hydralisk attacking from the front. They do pick off a bunker, but they don't really get any damage done. Zerg kind of just harassing now the Terran while the Terran masses up. I'm interested to see when the Terran starts going for siege tanks.
Yeah, I mean, if your opponent's going to keep adding on Hydralisk, that is something feels like something you need to do, but maybe a little concerned that there hasn't been that mark. And some Hydras, there's some Mutas, but you haven't seen like a ton of either yet.
Yeah, a lot of droning up from the Zerg, and now he's worried about this Goliath push that's coming across the map again with a sizable amount of Goliath. Again, they have that +1 attack. No other upgrades started from the Terran player on his mechanic weapons. He's actually going back into bio, it looks like.
Yeah, I feel like that's a weird transition, right? Because you already have like your investment in these mech units. You can build like that kind of really robust force, and especially on a map like this, like you got these areas that are a little hard to move through with these bridges. There's plenty of high ground variation. It feels like if you're gonna slow push the mech, it'd be good. So trying to go back into bio, I'm a little confused by the decision.
Yeah, he's already got a science vessel out too, and I'm not sure what use that science vessel is going to be now that there's pretty much no Mutalisks on the map. But there is a queen, so maybe he's expecting to fake out his opponent into building a queen and now getting broodlings kind of as a mistake here, or just going off the wrong information. But maybe he's able to assess that there will be tanks out from these factories, and it looks like the Terran is going into tank production.
We see this Goliath army is trying to move around the map. Zerk trying to fight it a little bit, sees where it is, and tries to pull away his Hydras. Doesn't want to take that just yet. It has another little group on the high ground. I think just maybe trying to posture it so Terran doesn't get set up right in his face. Meanwhile, Terran taking their third base finally up at 12 o'clock. Now, a little bit of Hydras managing to sneak around and see if they can get something done, but going back to take a flank, and I don't know if you'd want to take this. Like, now you're kind of getting dangerous territory. It might be hard to get these Hydras out alive.
Yeah, he needed to really surround that group and bring in his second group to attack from the south, but now that he hasn't done that, he's forced to pull that group from the north, but now it's actually swinging around to the third base of the Terran, and it's going to deny this expansion.
Yeah, very good pick off there to slow down the Terran from taking that base. Even though two-base Terran, still very frightening. And you can see what I'm talking about when this army is moving to that lower left. But we already got a couple Sunkets, got plenty of units up here that are going to be able to slow this down. So I think this this is going to buy enough time for these other Hydras to engage if they want to.
Yeah, and the Terran's not bringing his bio push with this force. It really would make it a lot stronger. But here's the Zerg's turn to move command, losing a lot of those Hydras for free.
Yeah, and actually only
there's one tank left
as well. Like there's a group that's in the middle of the map that I thought they were going to go together and like really actually take a fight, but taking half of them and then not even attacking, just that went tragically bad. Meanwhile,
I'm not sure what Zerg can do. He's producing a bunch of Hydralisks. He's going to try to surround this attack, but this is a good little area for Terran to fight. It's unfortunate he only has one siege tank with his army, but he does have defense matrix on it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be okay, but that siege tank is so low. You saw the Queen trying to go in and get something done, but it did not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the defense matrix helps against spells.
I'm not sure. I don't think it does. I don't think he had enough energy in the first place. I didn't see like the bird like shot go off, right?
Okay. Here we go. Oh.
Very good radiate to make sure that didn't get anything done. The tank get lost, but there's still plenty of Goliaths here, so there's a good force of units that's going to be like, you gotta still respect what's happening over at the bottom left, but here comes that bio push across the map, and they're heading over to that 3 o'clock base to shut down the base that hasn't even been started yet.
Well, the mech force got totally crushed now by Hydralisk, but like you're saying, there's a sizable bio force moving across the map towards the Zerg Natural, and he's reinforcing with a lot of Marine Medic, a couple tanks. So now the Hydras are, again, the wrong unit to fight this bio and tank composition. So unless he overwhelms it or maybe gets Defilers in here to do some Dark Swarms and Plagues, he's going to be in trouble. What does the Zerg do?
Oh, I'm not sure, but you see he's trying to move forward and surround the opponents, but the fact that they have to funnel in through that bridge into siege tanks, that having units come from the other side, getting the siege tanks out of position, and one barely survives, it should be enough to help defend this a little bit.
Some pretty clutch defense matrices.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
And now we have like the Terran Marine Medic moving into the natural. It's going to get picked off though here. It's going to get cleaned up. But it did a lot of damage to the drones and it's taken out the natural hatchery. A lot of Hydralisks coming in here, but those Marine Medic are trading so well, even with no upgrades.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, it's just such a cost-effective thing. And, like, you killed off the natural, now Zerg's down 2. They have a third base, but that can't feel comfortable. And you're finally establishing your third on your own. I think Terran's spot here is going to be very hard to deal with because you just don't have those high-end units that you're used to seeing from a Zerg that's like really the potent thing. Like, where's the Defilers? Where's the Ultralisks? He has the Hive made, but it just doesn't really have the thing he's looking for. Meanwhile, actually investing more in the Queens and is going to go into Ultras, so he's going to use Ensnare to make Bio super bad against the Ultras.
So he's got to make you know, he's got so many tanks coming at him right now. He's got to make these queens count as far as destroying the tanks. Tanks being produced off 3 factories with add-ons. Now there's only 5 barracks, so the Terran is floating a bunch of minerals. So maybe he can overwhelm the amount of Marine Medic and kind of cut it off before it gets to be too sizable. But there's a lot of science vessels already out, and the Zerg is stuck on just Hydralisk.
All this army is moved over to that bottom left to keep sieging into his third base and try to shut it down. It feels like Zerg's going to attack from the back, but I don't think that's nearly enough force to actually do it. Not with this many tanks here.
Yeah, it's way too many siege tanks, and those Hydras are just going to get melted before they even make it onto the siege tanks.
Here comes the Queens from the side trying to help out, but even still killing 3 tanks out of like this group of what, 8. It's still not going to be enough, I think, to defend the space. I think you just let this one go, because what else are you really going to do? But you see that Terrence still pushing forward, but not going for the drones right away, going for the big shot. They want to kill that hatchery. A couple Queens are around in the area, and a little bit of reinforcement going on, but there's still plenty of siege tanks, so these couple lanes, they're not going to do anything. Here comes that spawn broodling, gets a couple good
some
kills. That was a little better than I thought it was, but I think if he maybe did that before the lanes tried to fight the tanks, maybe it would have went a little different.
Yeah, he's definitely on the back foot now. He's lost a lot of his Hydralisks. He only has a few queens left, maybe 1 queen left. It does have enough energy, but he's really low on workers too. He has no workers at his natural. He's got the Ultralisk Cavern, and he started an upgrade on there. But losing this third base is really hurting him, and he's losing a lot of workers there too.
Yeah, I felt like earlier in the game, the working out between the 2 players was very close, but you can see now, Rango did a lot of good damage over at that third base earlier, down to this lower left base, and then over at the natural, so like the drone count just in shambles here, and if you're going into Ultralisk, like you need money. You can't be afford to be in this spot where you need to remake a bunch of drones. And we're seeing the hot kind of answer to Ultralisk, the Yamato cannon. So we're talking flying air energy casters from both sides. This is a weird one too. It turns out this is a weird game. If Zerg can hold on a little bit, this might be enough to really help, because the bio that Ranko has only has the +1 attack upgrade. And we have Ultras on the way. I think 7, that's what I saw, and the Ultra's armor nearing completion. So they're gonna be pretty beefy, especially if they have a snare to help out. But with all these tanks, I don't think it's gonna be enough.
Yeah, and we see the first battle cruisers now out on the map. One of them heading across the map. So there's, you know, what is the Zerg going to do to answer to that? He's going to have to build Hydralisks, which aren't going to trade well again against the Marines, Medics, and the siege tanks which are out there. But maybe Ultralisks are his chance. He's got a few out. He's got the armor upgrade. And like you're saying, there's any real upgrades for the Terran bio. They have +2, but that's it.
It's going to be an interesting fight. Even the Ultras getting split up a little bit. Valkyrie is going to be able to pick them down a little bit. Ultras just getting really messed up on the bridge, pathing.
The medic wall,
just
brutal.
Really destroying these while the irradiates come down and really put a lot of hurt on these Ultras.
Yeah, he might lose his siege tanks here, kind of getting them out of position, but he's able to kill all the Ultralisks fairly easily.
Yeah, that's a trade well worth it if you can keep shutting this stuff down. Valkyries are really like showing that it got a lot done. That having that big, even if it's a slow attack, having that big number of damage really helps mow through these Ultralisks a little bit easier than your lowly upgraded bio. Seeing Ranko, he's going to keep adding on Valkyries though, going to go into Sky Terran after going Mech Terran into Bio Terran, just showing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I like the Battlecruiser play. Now it looks like massing up. Either he can go for this third base or he can go for the Zerg Natural. He has a lot of Marine Medic, even some Fire Bats included in there.
Yeah, but the Fire Bats are not going to be like really the problem. Like, there's just nothing that Ognasti has. It doesn't really matter what units he's building. He has a lot of them. That's a giant snare that hits a lot of stuff. Ultra's trying to come across, but even then, it's just not going to be enough. Even then, the bridge working against him.
Yeah, bridge is really unfortunate for Onigas.
Yeah,
Good game.
yeah, Zerg tapping out. Franco taking that one 2-1. That was a fun series. A lot of
Yeah,
weird,
well played.
weird interesting strategies.
Yeah, I like seeing BCs in TBZ. That's always fun to watch. But
I remember the first time I saw that when I think Light did it on Circuit Breaker, and I was like, "This is freaking awesome." I didn't think this is ever gonna happen. But we're going into our final set of the night. Unfortunately, Terran's time is over. The fun ends. It's time for some Zerg versus Protoss with some
all right,
two mainstay guys around in the CPL. We got Bojack versus Y2 Kid.
nice.
Gonna be a fun one, I hope. All right. So in the top left we have Bojack in the yellow, playing Zerg, and in the bottom right we have Y2 Kid in the green Protoss. Fighting Spirit and starting with the cross map. That sounds like a good way to just kind of get us flowing into a nice, good macro game instead of some of these weirder things we keep seeing. Although
Yeah,
watch him do the two gate.
yeah, exactly. Two gate in base. We'll see what kind of openings these guys play with. But definitely, such a standard map and cross positions really does favor a more macro-oriented style of play.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I know Bojack a decent bit. He's a pretty strong macro player as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a longer game. Doesn't have to do anything super crazy. Y2 Kid, I believe, like from what I've seen of him, he does play reasonably standard stuff, so I'm not expecting anything too crazy from his end.
Okay, well, we see Y2 Kid already building his pylon at the natural, so no in-base gateways just yet. And that's kind of more the standard play. So we'll see where the where the Protoss decides to take it from here. But he can go for either a gateway or a forge. And there is the spawning pool placed now by the Zerg player.
Yep, going for overpool, the classic easy way to make sure that you just have the defense if you need it. You're kind of a little safe against everything. And Y2K going for a forge expand, not going to mess around with any gateway stuff. Now, one of the little things Y2K did was the way he scouted. He scouted up towards the 3 o'clock and then just moved over because he would have seen the Overlord and then abandoned going towards the top, right? So, intelligent little thinking about stuff like that can get you just these little extra advantages. Now we're going to see what it is. Now, this is more of what I'm looking for when I see some of our players that see Y2K, that probe in position. It wants that nexus, no gateway, no slowing stuff down for no reason. He's got a goal in mind. Try to block off the hatchery a little bit, doesn't really get so much done, but probe's got to get back into base and got to see how many lings are on the way. How much does he have to respect this with some cannons?
Well, I think he's going to have to build one cannon anyway, right? But he can decide, like you're saying, what number to build. And he sees 4 lings right now, so he must be fine with just one cannon.
Yeah, one cannon you feel very comfortable. But like if you didn't know and you were like, oh crap, I got to build 2, and then you're slowing down your gateway and all that stuff. One of the big things about the Forge expand opening like this is you don't want to be so greedy you die, but you gotta try to cut corners where you can.
Mm-hmm.
So even like that doesn't sound like a lot. It's just like, oh, it's 1 cannon or 2. It's not that big a deal, but it kind of is. Like 150 minerals is not a joke.
Yeah, it'll pay off later, for sure.
Not getting killed by the lings and actually might get back into the main, get a real good idea of what's going on here. I think you would be if you can keep this probe alive and see if he starts the lair or not. That's such big information.
Yeah, he's kept that probe alive, and it's going to be hard to pick off just with these Zerglings kind of following around because the probe does have the ability to regenerate his shields.
Yeah, until speed, like it's going to be hard to do this. But if you had the links down at the bottom, this probe might finally be trapped a little bit in the mineral line. Oh, this is so obnoxious.
Yeah, the probe's still surviving, getting a nice little inside scoop of what the Zerg is doing inside his
Oh,
base.
if he's long enough and he actually walks out, sees this Hydralisk dead, sees no lair started, super big information actually to catch that up. And you can actually see.
Okay, so that information tells you what? That there's going to be a Hydra bus coming in?
Well, you have to respect the threat of it at least, because the Hydra Den is such a small investment. You don't have to commit to it, but when you see Hydra Den and you don't see a lair, it's like it's probably coming, but to what severity? But you can see now, watching it, already respecting it. The Hydra Den wasn't even finished. He's adding on the second cannon now, and his buildings are in a good placement just to make sure he's going to be fine moving forward. So if you can get back in, this probe's still alive, still really getting an idea. So finally gets killed off though. But if you could see how many Hydras got made, then you could really know what he's in for. But still,
Yeah, but actually, so far, no Hydras.
yeah, but still not seeing any lair tech just yet either. So like Bojack playing this like style, he's feigning like maybe it's gonna be an all-in, maybe gonna use it as like a macro advantage to be like, oh, maybe he'll take an expansion when your bunch really being defensive, because you can see it, watch it get already up to 5 cannons, gonna be well prepared to defend whatever's coming up. And actually getting a Citadel of Dune, not getting the Stargate, even though you would be playing against Hydralisk, having that Stargate, having that scouting information, still huge. But just wants to go for the faster Templars, I think.
Well, here come the Hydralisk. He's producing them out of all of his hatcheries. He's got 3 hatcheries right now, and they're just streaming across the map. The Protoss player only has 1 gateway right now, so it's going to be hard for him to match that level of protection. He does have 5 cannons up already, though, which will buy him time, definitely, if not totally change the Zerg player's mind about busting in here.
Yeah, it's like this is the kind of thing that you're gonna slowly pick off the wall. You don't have to hard commit, but once you have all these cannons, like they're gonna do so much damage against your Hydras. You've done enough, so it's probably better off to transition out and just be like, all right, gotta make drones, gotta get an expansion. But why to get respecting the reality that this could be really severe? But you can see there's not a bunch more Hydras on the way. This isn't like super committed all in. And Bojack might be in a good position, kind of no matter what happens. But Storm on the way for Y2K, it should be up in time before this attack really gets out of control. Right, gotta get that.
Well, he is going to lose the Forge.
Yeah, that's always bad. Ends up canceling the upgrade. Having to stay on 0-0 upgrades for an extended period of time always feels terrible. And that Overlord in the Protoss base sees that the Forge is being remade, but sees the Templar Archives well done. And that Storm halfway on the way, so has an idea what's going on. See, this is a spot I'm just not sure about. Like, you see how many cans are here. Like, if they're investing so much in cans, there's like, how are they going to be able to push out an attack? Bojack keeps making Hydras, wants to see if he can break his way through this. I'm curious to see how this plays out, but he's going to have to go soon before the storms are available.
Yeah, does he even have any Templar out, though? This has been so low production from the Protoss.
There's a Templar in the mineral line at the natural.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I think even like with this kind of big fight, 1 storm's going to be all you need. He needs a couple more energy, but cans going down pretty fast. A couple still left. If he gets that big storm, though, Templar moving up, hits a giant pack of the Hydras, and they have to back off.
Storm, but more Hydralisks coming across the map now.
Yep, but this is like when you see this much, if you just keep seeing it coming, all you do is survive here as Cross. You're feeling quite good. You see your worker count almost double in favor of Y2K. And he's got it.
Yeah, he's going to come in and try to force off these cannons, though. If he can get rid of these cannons, it becomes a lot easier for Zerg to micro around here. But it looks like the Protoss has enough Zealots that he's going to get these cannons to finish.
He's also got the threat of another storm from another big group, but you can see on the mini-map the amount of Hydras moving across the map and attacking are actually quite significant. With Storm there, unfortunate. The Y2 kid bought the time he needed. He's actually going to go into Stargate to start getting Corsairs. He can get an idea, did my opponent take a 4th base? Because right now he's playing in the dark. He needs that information. Bojack trying to pick off whatever he can, a little bit here, a little bit there, adding on a bunch of hatcheries. He still hasn't even upgraded into the lair or taken a fourth base, so this is as like all in as it's gonna get, I think eventually, that he's gonna have to go.
Yeah.
But
He's added on 2 more hatcheries because he was floating a bunch of minerals, and now he's just getting a lair. So he does look like he's kind of stuck on this Hydralisk tech.
yeah, which I don't particularly love that, because you can see Y2Kid starting that robotics. If you really were scared of this, and all you gotta do is add like a Reaver, and this attack never kills you ever again. Like, Reaver's so potent about killing a giant group of Hydras in one fun explosion.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's getting a robotics, is he?
It was in production. Yeah. It's right in the natural.
Oh yeah, so like you're saying, perfect position to build a Reaver at, and then totally shut down this attack. So let's see if that's what he goes for, because yeah, Reavers are really strong. He already has enough Storms out to defend, but here comes another Zerg attack.
And they're walking pretty far forward.
The Storms are kind of late. There's one Storm though. It takes out a good amount of Hydras.
Yeah.
Hydra's getting on top of the cannons though. There's only 2 cannons left, but I don't think there's enough macro behind this for Zerg. He's not able to produce enough Hydras.
Yeah, a little unfortunate. Like, he's floating plenty of money, has a good amount of hatcheries, so it feels like maybe he was slipping up a little bit. But I'm looking around, I don't see like a bunch of larvae pulled up anywhere. But
yeah, he just built a big rounded drone, so he's going to try to macro out of this now, but I think Protoss has kind of surpassed him now as far as army size and worker size.
yeah, like, he just kept holding on and building up a little bit while Bojack kept trying to get the attack on. You can see finally the transition out, some drones being made, lurker aspect on the way, and actually just slamming down gas expansions at all of his other bases. But still wants to pretend like he's being aggressive with these Hydras, but you can see in the production, now this is over. Y2K survived the attack quite well. Now, are we going to be set up for a nice counterattack? Because he keeps building up this army. It's not getting smaller.
Yeah, I think Y2K is setting himself up perfectly here. He's getting his massive gateways. He's getting his double forge. So he's going to have all the units he needs to move out. And meanwhile, Bojack, just trying to catch up economically, still staying on Hydralisk, not really changing his tech in any way.
Nice storm coming out there, just trying to force these Hydras off the bridge. Does some pretty significant damage and kills one, but now Lurker's being morphed. The Observer's on the way though, so it's going to be just in time. Lurker's not going to catch Y2Kid out of position.
Yeah, and here's the move out, so he might even kill these eggs before they finish morphing.
Yeah, I think so. That's unfortunate to go out and catch them, but Y2K moving out just the perfect time. And now you got to look around, like, you look at these bases, there's not sunken, built up, there's not a lot of defense, so wherever Y2Kid goes to attack, I struggle to see how Bojack actually defends it. See one zealot over towards that 12 is getting that scouting information like, hey, how bad is this? Lurker eggs on the ramp blocking it off, but here comes.
So it looks pretty bad, right? But here comes the push.
And meanwhile, Y2Kid taking that third base down to 6.
Could be a big storm. Oh, he pulls off.
Yeah, I think waiting until there's actually a fight going on in the storm, so that way it's a little easier to hit them while they're trying to stand still and shoot. Just like there, gets a big hit there. A lot of very bruised Hydras. From the back over to 12, there's not a lot of.
Yeah, the Hydra's trying to macro back or micro back, but there's not really a lot of Hydralisks here, and there's so many Dragoons just doing so much damage from behind as the Zealots get in and get on top of the Hydralisk. And now he's in the drone line, so there's not a lot the Zerg can do at this time. He's doing a huge flank from his third base, bringing in some Lurkers, but that all gets destroyed by a storm.
And Bojack tapping out. Y2Kid's counter push very strong. Held on against that defense very well. And like I'm gonna commit to what I said though. Like Bojack rolled up to his base. He had a couple Hydras and saw, oh, you built 7 cannons, and should have just transitioned it into an economic game instead. He kept trying to force it through, and it was close. It almost got there, but not quite enough.
Yeah, kind of disappointing end to that game for Bojack, but he did do a nice attack in the middle of the game, trying to make it work with those Hydralisks. I think definitely a great response from Y2Kid to build the cannon number that he needed to feel safe. And really, it came down to if he had one less cannon or something like that, he probably would have lost. So it's a nice defense.
Yeah, I thought it might have been a little much, but it turns out it was just enough to make sure he got through that just okay. But now we're in game two, see if lessons are learned and these players try to do the same things again. We got Bojack in the bottom right with the yellow Zerg. We got Y2Kid in the bottom left with the green Protoss. I feel like if Bojack was going to do that kind of 3-hatch Hydra on Fighting Spirit, I would be prepared for it on this map too, because it seems it's going to hit you faster, there's no ramp to help you defend. It seems a lot more potent here. We're seeing that first probe go out. We're gonna just set up for the wall. This shouldn't be notable, but apparently we saw a game that's gonna make it notable to talk about it, which I think is funny. And
What game is that?
Oh, the 2-gate in base.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And we're actually seeing Y2Kid keeping the probe by the pylon. I think this is meant so he can just go into gateways rather than forge for his first one. Wants to make sure he got started as fast as humanly possible.
So he goes 9-gate.
And there's that gateway expand instead. And from Bojack, we're still just seeing overpool, super safe. Like, don't want to worry about that. A good build order choice to make sure that you're not going to get overrun by these initial zealots from the gateway expand.
So I think this gateway expand is a nice opening because you're from the get-go you're starting out who has the better multitasking, who can control better and build up in their base. So this could set Y2Kid apart and give him an advantage, or it could put him behind. So we'll see how this game plays out, but I like the aggression of going for that first gateway and getting a Zealot right away, because it's going to allow you to put pressure on the Zerg while also macroing up at home out of your Nexus.
Yeah, I do like this. If nothing else, having these zealots that you can move around and be a little more aggressive with and get an idea of what's going on. I think that's a good way to sniff out if you think your opponent might be doing 3-hatch Hydra and you can't rely on keeping your probe alive for literally ever. This might be getting the zealots in and then you can see what's being built. You can maybe get in the base, especially without a ramp here. It should be easy to move across. And you can see here comes that first zealot across the map. There's a drone at the wall that I don't know if he saw that the zealot's coming. So I think he did though. You see, here comes.
Yeah, this Zealot getting across the map, trying to help out that probe, and it looks like he's forcing these Zerglings to retreat. So he does see the Zealot now. Let's see how many links he feels he needs before he can engage the Zealot. The probe trying to block for the Zealot. Both players kind of microing here.
And just trying to calm down, not lose this first Zealot, because especially you can see from the wall, the forge gets so delayed that the wall is very vulnerable. So if you lose your early zealots, Lings become a very real threat to counterattack you. But the Nexus goes down. Forge hasn't been put down just yet. It's just going to be units to see if it's enough. And I think this zealot gets caught by the Lings. Unfortunately, almost made it home.
He does have a semi-tight wall here, but the Lings could have ran by there if they wanted to. They didn't quite make it in though, so the Protoss lives to fight another day right now.
Yeah, you can see that the Lings trying to put some pressure on, see what they can get. They got a pretty good angle on actually putting some damage on this gateway. Already losing a third of its health. In the meantime, Bojack taking the third base over at the 3 o'clock. And you can see gas being taken, but Alaire hasn't started yet.
Now the Lings get into the Zerg base. Let's see if they go for a run by here. Yeah, so he does a run by. He needs to get into the main.
I mean,
he kind of gets caught.
Yeah, you do got to be careful. He's trying to make a decision about what he wants to prioritize. Because you can see it in the production tab again. Hydralist Den, no lair. So we're going for the same kind of thing. And maybe valuing if he can slow down this cannon wall a little bit, maybe that's more valuable.
Yeah, he does decide to slow down the cannon wall. He takes out one cannon. So if he does for another Hydralist push, I think that would be favorable to him. But right now he expanded all the way to this 3 o'clock base, right? which I don't think is necessarily the best move as Zerg. What do you think?
No, that's definitely a good spot to take. You want to take a gas expansion and take in that one of these high ground ones that has the ramp, makes it a lot easier to defend later. And you don't really
Okay.
want to expand towards the Protoss in these situations.
Yeah, unless you're going for a Hydralist attack.
Well, I mean, even if you're going for a Hydralist attack, the extra walk distance isn't that bad, but this gives you that option that if, like the attack goes like how we saw in game 1, where it's like, maybe I'm not going to be able to get this there, you're already set up for like to go into a better macro game, not having an expansion like right next to your opponent that's super vulnerable. A couple drones just barely sneaking out to go to that 3 o'clock base. The probe didn't catch that, but you can probably have an idea of the probe going to get in the base. There's no use to stop it, and it's going to see exactly what it wants to see. Ooh, actually the probe's sneaking around too. So really making sure it's going to get the vision it needs. Lair, no lair at all. Hydra Den completed. Like, of course we're dealing with this.
So we'll see. Look, already 2 cannons being started. We'll see how many more get added on by Y2 Kid, but we know he's totally comfortable throwing up, 7 to 8 cannons to defend against this.
Well, it'll be a little harder this time because that pylon that he had, the second pylon he built, is in that spot where he used to make so many cannons. It's a little bit in the way. You're not going to be able to make as many as effectively. So
yeah, maybe his SimCity not quite as good. He could pay for it in this game.
Definitely seems like a possibility. But that third base getting scouted, Hydralist moving across the map, and that attack range upgrade about halfway there. This game a little bit different this time, going for that fast Stargate. So that first Corsair is going to get some scouting info, see what's going on, see if there is a transition into a lair. It's just going to stay in this Hydra.
Yeah, I think that first Corsair is going to get a lot of scouting information and really run havoc if microed correctly, because all he has right now is Hydralisk to deal with this Corsair.
And we can see actually the Corsair not even immediately going to scout because he sees the Hydra at his base. But if he can kill some of these Overlords and get a supply block, that'll buy him very crucial time. Does get that. Bojack is now supply blocked. There's a couple Overlords in the making though, so not too bad. Unlike what we saw in game 1 though, Bojack already transitioning into his lair, so a lot faster transition than what we saw in the first game. And as these Hydras still postured up, like if they kill that forge, you figure that's gonna be really bad, but Y2 Kid way ahead of time actually built a forge back at home, and that's the one he's used to upgrade.
Wow. So he's seen this before, yeah, he knows what to do. So that's good, building a backup forge in his base.
Yeah, both players adapting to each other a lot better this game, like after the knowledge of what they did in game 1. Like the builds aren't crazy different from what we saw, but both players adapting a lot differently. That it's like, oh, I know he's gonna commit and break through. I need that second force so I don't have to wait. Bojack's like, oh, I should probably start thinking about transitioning earlier in case I can't close the game down. Like it's a lot of good adaptation, and I'm very happy to see it. And you can see here these Hydras, they're moving back a little bit. They're not just trying to barrel their way through and see what they can get done.
Yeah.
We got gateways being added for Y2 Kid. I think we're going to be looking at the same kind of things we saw before, though. Lots of good production. He's going to move into having Storm, Templar, a big real army. And so if Bojack tried what he did in game 1 and really tried to fight, I think it goes the same way. We're seeing a very different style play. Bojack getting that 6 o'clock base and going into a much more planned to move later in the game kind of build.
Yeah, that Corsair going into the third base and able to take off one Overlord from that third base of the Zerg and Bojack. But now the Zealots are moving out against just Hydralisk.
Yeah, they don't have any upgrades, but just having that speed is all you really need. If you can get into Hydralisk's face, it makes things a lot easier. But one thing that we do gotta be careful with Bojack's lurker aspect is about to finish pretty soon, so having this mostly Zealot kind of army is like Overlords or the observers aren't ready just yet, so this is gonna be a little scary if you're caught out of position. overlords for Y2K being made up. Lots of speed zealots, a couple Templar to help support it. Not adding in any kind of Dragoons or anything just yet. Not really going heavy on the Corsair production. Just getting this one that's, I mean, it's already killed 2 overlords, about to kill the 3rd, so it's definitely paying for itself between knowledge and actually getting these kills in the overlords. And another supply block from Bojack.
Yeah, Y2 Kid looking to be in a pretty good position here in this game. Bojack's definitely on the back foot, forced back on the map, away from his contain. But Bojack is setting up his 4th base at the mineral only. So conceivably, if he could defend these bases, he could be alright. But this is the timing when Protoss gets really strong. Oh, he's able to snipe off a Templar in the middle of the map.
Yeah, you can see Y2K keeps pushing forward. There's a good amount of Hydras. The lurker eggs, I don't see any lurker eggs being morphed, but maybe there's overlords in the way. It's hard to tell. But with no Sunkens or anything, a little bit scary here as far as defense goes, I think.
Yeah, there is one lurker on that cliff at the 3rd base. I do not see an observer in sight, so he might be just forced to retreat here from that one lurker.
It definitely seems that way. I think he's feeling pretty comfortable. This bought him the space and time he needed to get that 3rd base going. But he's taking that pseudo high ground one really close to his base. So I feel like that's, if he wants to stay out on the map, this isn't a bad location, but I still like taking these like the little high ground ones with the gas, just because it's so much easier to defend.
Yeah, more lurkers being placed here for the Zerg player, so you can tell he might be trying to be more on the defensive side here.
I mean, when you see from your opponent, that's just mostly zealots, like just so many zealots in here in this army. Like lurkers just they melt through them. It's so effective that it's like this field that you can't avoid it. If you want to fight, you have to walk over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, already that lurker field starting to grow outside the in between this natural base and that mineral only base for Bojack.
I mean, you can see as this game is progressing though, the base count for Bojack and Y2K a lot different looking than we saw in the first game. Both players having a lot more workers and money as well. Would love to see Bojack start setting up to try to take their 5th base, but maybe just feeling uncomfortable that the army from Y2K might be too strong to do something like that. And we're seeing a reasonably fast Queen's Nest, I think, for coming out of Bojack. So maybe going into the Defilers, these lurkers are going to be so potent if they're also under a Dark Swarm.
Bojack sending a group of Hydras kind of around the map to the north side, scouting for expansions. At the same time, Y2 Kid sending a Zealot up there looking for expansions. Both these players playing a little passive right now, scouting around the map.
I think both players feeling comfortable with their spots, and no one wants to be the first one to make a big mistake and just hand their opponent an advantage. Playing very conservatively, but I don't blame them for doing it. This one Zealot that's hanging out by Bojack's pseudo high ground is doing so much work because he knows that base isn't taken, and that unit's not even being cleared out.
Well, these group of Hydras that went over to the top left have been able to take out that expansion or at least force it to be cancelled, but they're now being caught by the Protoss army. They've pulled Protoss all the way back, but now they're just kind of dying for free. Let's see if they try to snipe some High Templar.
They did manage to get one of the Templars. If they get the other one, that actually would be pretty reasonable. Slowing down that base for Y2K, I don't think is so bad when you have this kind of big Hydra army, because at some point they do start falling off where they're just not strong enough against Protoss' duels. But you see now we're halfway towards getting that hive, a bunch of Evo chambers being added as well. So Bojack gonna get into a late game army that's gonna be much more capable of taking this fight straight up.
Yeah, again, Y2 Kid looking like he's going to take the mineral only up in the top left. They're both players macroing pretty well right now. Y2 Kid with 62 probes, so he's got quite a bit of workers right now. So that 4th base is really going to start paying off for him when he does decide to take it.
Yeah, finally that Zealot over by Bojack's next expansion gets spotted and taken out. So, but having that info, knowing, oh, never mind. Zealot's trying to push forward, but
big attack here. A bunch of lurkers unburrowed. Let's see if they get stormed on. Oh, they retreat.
But there's just a lot of lurkers here in general. A lot of damage
Yeah.
for us. Are we trying to move forward? Moving through this lurker field seems like a dangerous idea, but he's going to try to move forward with one of these observers, see what's going on. But if it goes any closer to that overlord, it's definitely going to die.
Yeah, so many lurkers outside of this base. Protoss, it's got to understand he cannot fight here. He has to go somewhere else.
I'm liking a lot about what the Y2K is doing right now. Added on a bunch of gateways, still doing a good job macroing. Until like that big fight happened, he was doing a very good job just spending his money. But now he's making sure he uses his army, trying to get some pressure on the map. He's going away from that lurker field, which will make support and might be able to shut down this next expansion or go into that 3-pop base and really see if he can get something big.
Yeah, he's forcing a fight. He's forcing a fight away from the lurker field, which is to his benefit. But now there's so many Hydralisks coming up to flank with Zergling support. A nice storm on all the Hydralisks, but there's really not a lot of Protoss units left anymore. Just Dragoons, and those die too quickly. They don't have anything to buffer for them.
Yeah, especially when Dragoons are a good unit against Zerg, but when you don't have Zealots, when you don't have anything kind of tanking with them, it's just Dragoons, they die so quickly. But that attack, while it didn't go super well, both players losing a good amount of their resources, it did buy the time for Y2K to get that next expansion up. And we see Hydras moving around, trying to deny that again, see if they get in position to do it this time.
Well, Bojack on the other side has gotten his hive up. He's getting those quick attack upgrade for the lings, and he's building some upgrades and getting lings out. So we'll see him transitioning into more of a hive-focused army now that he does have all those lurkers out.
Yeah, I mean the hive units, like everyone knows how strong they are against Terran, but they are super good against us too. You have lots of options. Like Dark Swarm makes it so easy to go attack bases. Cannons do nothing. Plague in general is just such high value against these high health units. It's very difficult to play around a hive tech for Zerg when you're in Protoss, but you got to be careful, just moving your army carefully, not getting caught out of position. Which White's been pretty conservative about what he's doing, not getting caught out.
Yeah, Bojack not saturating this base that he's taken, his, I guess, 5th base that he could be mining from for some time now. And actually, a 5th base being taken by Y2 Kid over at his gas expansion in the top left. So the Protoss doing his best to keep tabs on the Zerg and expand in time with him.
I mean, you gotta feel like this situation is going quite well for Protoss here. That Zerg, like both players have a lot of expansions, but Zerg didn't get to lay a claim towards the other main. So it's still kind of a split map right now, which. But with Protoss is like having this big army. It's really just how can they navigate this lurker.
Yeah, and the lurker field is in such a position that it's kind of being circumvented right now by where the Protoss army movement is.
Getting a little fight over on the side. Now here's the thing that is going to make these harder. Once we have hive tech lings that have that extra attack speed upgrade, they do so much more damage, and then it changes things. You can see the lings diving into the Dragoons, trying to mow them down. Bojack actually losing a lot of forces here. This fight not going as favorably. He's just not fighting with any of these lurkers. He has all over the map.
Yeah, he maybe should have repositioned some of his lurkers to be in a better defensive spot over here on the right side of the map, because Protoss is now able to flood into this base. It's undefended right now.
It feels like he's very unwilling to move the lurkers he's already burrowed, which I feel like that's one of the biggest mistakes happening right now. You see why to get the pressure is all on these right side bases. So the lurkers being where they are, it's not essential because they're not doing anything. Take a couple out, rearrange them. These fights will probably go a lot more.
Yeah, the Ling's really not trading too well right now for Bojack.
Yeah,
but
if you get stormed.
Yeah, but he might be able to get a little bit of a surround here going off on the Protoss. Protoss having difficulty reinforcing, but he's macroing up pretty well back at home, and he has that 5th base that we were talking about.
Yeah, well, Defiler Mount has been finished. finish for Zerg soon's on the way. So once we start getting those kind of spells in here, these fights could go a lot differently. Upgrades also finishing up for the Zerg player. These lanes getting stronger and stronger by the minute. Now Frost's main base totally mined out. The natural also totally mined out. So even though there is a lot of expansions to say for Y2 Kid, he does have to think about what's going to be that next base he's going to take. Meanwhile, Bojack taking the bottom left base, the one very close to the Pro space by air. But it seems like he's in a good spot. If the lurkers are going to stay down there, then you might as well take that base.
Yeah, the lurkers definitely defend it. Now he's moved some lurkers over to defend the base he just took, though, in the bottom right middle. And so if he's able to expand to those two bases, I can see a way back into this game for him. But like you're mentioning, whoever takes that next main is going to be in a great situation in this on this map, just because of the positional advantage it would give you.
Well, it seems like Y2 Kid's got that probe set up in there, or he got a pylon set up in the natural. So it's looking like he's taking a claim. He keeps positioning the army on the right, like north side. So making sure his army's between wherever Bojack would attack from to get towards that area. I think this is going to be his path to secure that base.
So here's an attack from Bojack going into the top left or the middle left. He's got a defiler. He's placed up Dark Swarm and he's getting on top of those cannons. But at the same time, Protoss is going for a counterattack.
Yeah, I mean, you can see exactly with how easy that attack was on the base that I'm talking about. High techs are so much more potent. Dark Swarm when you're using things and lurkers, just blow through things, and especially if you can stop cannons from being effective, it's one of the main ways that you can protect your bases. So once the defilers are in here, it gets so much more difficult. We're seeing
Yeah, Protoss kind of trying to counterattack here, and the lurker field did get moved, so there's nothing to protect Zerg's main right now. He's trying to flood in more Zergling reinforcements and move lurkers back to defend against this kind of attack from Protoss. But the lurkers are getting kind of clumped up here, and they might just get destroyed because this Protoss army is right on top. Oh, there are some clutch Dark Swarms right there.
Yeah, this is one of the big things that's going to end up happening is that with the Dark Swarms, Dragoons making a lot of the attacks go so well, but you can see right now they're doing 100% of nothing, having to rely just on the side storms to get this done.
Yeah, that one lurker's not going to die. It's under Dark Swarm. He needs to get more Zealots in there. Right now, his Dragoons, he's got a lot of them, but they're getting surrounded by Lings and Hydralisks.
Research is just about to finish up as well, so another tool for Zerg to take these big open field fights a little better. But during all this chaos, we did see Y2 Kid take the pseudo high ground on the north side, so another base establishment. Still hasn't tried to make that claim for that other main yet. Oh, now a couple Hydras, a couple Templars just in the middle of the field. If the Hydras caught those, that would be a lot of gas we can't afford to lose right now.
Yeah, I thought Protoss definitely had an advantage there, but Zerg's been able to hold on, and after repelling that attack, I think Zerg's not in a bad position now. He's just kind of running low on that lurker field, which was so valuable for him. He's going to have difficulty reinforcing it, I think.
Well, you're saying that, but if you actually look, like, Bojack's problem isn't, like, the fact that his army, it's just that he's not spending the money. He has plenty of money to reinforce whatever he's actually looking for. A couple storms go down trying to clear out some of these lurkers from that pseudo-high ground by Y2K base. A couple lanes coming through, they're going to tear apart that base that Y2K just tried to set up. This is so ridiculous. It does like a handful of lanes, and they almost did enough, but here comes the swell of lanes. They're going to make
here comes the massive lanes. And yeah, links just get very effective, and all you have to do is kind of A-move them and forget about them. So this is a scary time for Protoss. He's getting this base shut down pretty hard and losing a lot of probes there.
Yeah, but we do see at least the high ground base that Y2K took. Very defended. Doing one of the easy.
Oh, look at those Reavers.
Yeah, just Reavers. Reavers and Y2K base. That'll defend everything forever. Nexus going down for Y2K. So Bojack doing a bunch of good army movements and getting some big value in these fights. He's trying to
Yeah.
keep the base count down, but it still amazes me that no one's had that attempt to take that main. They're just fighting over all these middle ground bases.
Yeah, I'm surprised Bojack hasn't even tried to take that base that he's lost already, but he has the money definitely to be taking a lot of bases if possible. It looks like he's loading up all of his lings into the Overlords as dropships, and he's probably going to fly in and do a counterattack into the Protoss main, which I can see doing a lot of damage.
This is one of the worst feelings in the world. Whenever this Doom Drop comes through and lings are just tearing apart all your production, you'll never get back in time to stop it. And it's not like Zerg where it's like, oh, you have Scourge, you can stop a Doom Drop or something. It's just, oh, they're going to get in, they're going to do a ton of damage, and you have to decide how you're going to recover once it happens.
Look at the lings in middle right. They're like doing a little J-Donk scenario.
Oh, we see positioning in the middle of the map, but here comes this Doom Drop in the main from Bojack. There's one Corsair
getting
here.
caught by a Corsair.
It's not going to do enough. Everything's going to get out of these Overlords, no problem. And you can see the immediate return of the units trying to... They're all plagued. This is going to be a hard fight to take even when they get there.
Yeah, and they're kind of forced to funnel in, and they're getting blocked by an Archon right now. Oh, they're getting through somewhat.
And if you go in little by little, these lanes are going to eat all this stuff alive. You can see a lot of tech structures being destroyed. Not going for the gateways, but getting the tech's going to be a big deal. You can even see there's a shuttle with some Reavers, but there's no opportunity to drop them. And all this stuff finally getting cleaned up a little bit, but that dropped in a lot of damage for not a big investment. Links are very cheap, and you can see more movement on the right side. Bojack is really trying to pull Y2K apart. We got movement towards the 12 as like right as the expansion is trying to go up for Y2K. We got Reavers trying to defend that other base. So Bojack, seeing what's going on, has the opportunity to figure out how he's going to attack, but all the army is still like back by the main from defending that drop.
Protoss just cancels all of his buildings up here at 12 o'clock because he realizes he's not going to be able to get that expansion up in time. And now Zerg is streaming across the map. He's building a mainly lings, but mixing in some Hydralisks now as well.
Yeah, these little scrappy fights that Bojack keeps doing, he's pulling his opponent over the map, but like I feel like during all this time, he's still not really thinking about like how am I going to like establish my next base. It's just about shutting down Y2 kids, which I mean, Zerg bases do mine a lot slower because you don't need as many drones, but eventually you see like the naturals mined out, the main's getting close. It will eventually happen.
These Reavers here gonna do as much damage as they can against this attack from the Zerg. It looks like this is gonna get cleaned up though.
Yeah, Reavers on defense is so broken in. A couple Archons on the left side just stopping that close round that Bojack was trying to set up in there. Some stuff going up to the 12, making sure that base hasn't been established up yet, but Y2K defends the base that he has in that little middle ground for now.
Yeah, Y2Kid's starting to mine out of his bases though. He really needs to set up this new one, and the Zerg's doing everything he can to deny it. Sending in his groups of lings kind of a little at a time.
Yeah, I'm very okay with all this decision makers. You actually see he's still building up quite the bank of mineral, so it's not like he's stressing for anything. Lings being so cost effective there just makes it way easy to just do these little counterattacks to be annoying and force Protoss into weird positions.
Yeah, I wonder if there's even a point. The Zerg has so much resources, maybe even Ultralisk could be effective, but staying on these lings, Archons are coming out now, and Archons can counter those lings pretty well, as the Reavers.
There's a lot of good unit choices that are available to the Zerg here, but sticking on this lane and with the Defiler support is very effective for how little it costs to actually do. But finally, sneaking in a couple Dark Templars, that's going to go a long way in helping these fights. You can see there's not a lot of Overlords in these fights. Just getting a bunch of open field fights. Y2K really has has to establish that next base. It has a good mineral bank, but that's going to get into the fast. The big thing is just no gas available to him. He's going to have to keep finding ways. How am I going to stop these lings? How am I going to do all these things? And even if they're like trading unfavorably, if they can like kill off Reavers, like link for Reavers, links for cannons, all these things, it's so in Bojack's favor. Keep putting
Yeah, these things really not killing too much though. Bojack needs to keep expanding.
Yeah, he just feels very comfortable what he's got playing the more of the whack-a-mole game against the Protoss player, but I would love to see him actually try to take one of these bases. Because I think that it would be so much harder to fight right now, especially when you have limited resources. You're kind of like funneled into a lot of zealots. If you took a base and wanted to get us to come to you and you put lurkers there, like what's he gonna do? We even see like there's this base that is in the middle for Bojack. He's not even mining from it. He has it. He just has it for a hatchery.
Yeah, still no minerals mined from that base, but he has his lings totally over in the Protoss side of the map, in his face, and he's trying to deny this base.
I mean,
so with that many Reavers, 5 Reavers at that base, so that's enough to defend anything.
I mean, at some point though, you got to figure out like the mineral only for Y to get mined out. There's tons of probes just sitting idle. He's basically just on 2 bases. And Y2Kid trying this again, sneaking through the 12. Like, Bojack had no spotters up there. Like, in this situation where he's playing this way, the fact that he had no vision of the 12 to let Y2Kid try and take it again it just feels like reckless. But we're in a 30-minute game at this point. Both players trying to maintain their focus at this point.
Yeah, denying that 12 o'clock base has been so huge, though. He needs to continue to do that. But as you're saying, this game is getting long, and the Zerg player now switching back into a lot of Hydralisks. Looks like he's finally maybe able to break through because the Protoss player is really running out of resources right now. Only on those 2 mining bases. He needs to get this 12 o'clock base set up before he gets busted in the front, which it looks like that's what Bojack's moving to do right now.
Yeah, I like the decision. Instead of trying to fight through these bases or defended by like a million each, trying to actually go into main and shut down the production sounds like a pretty good path to get things moving as well. There's still a couple of Reavers though, you gotta be careful how good, they're so potent against Hydras.
Yeah, a couple Reavers brought in by a shuttle, and they're able to get some shots off, but now the Hydralisk, oh! Wow, those Reavers are doing a lot of work, but the Hydralisk should be able to take them out.
Meanwhile, while this attack's going on, a small group of lings going towards that 12, seeing if they can get enough done. That is quite a lot of cannons, but I have no idea what to think of fully upgraded things.
He needs a Defiler for some Dark Swarm, but I think he's gonna be able to break into the main anyway and get right on top of all the Protoss production, which could kind of spell doom for Protoss, as all he has now is robotics base scattered around the map.
Yeah, you can even see it looking at it, why he gets money. The gas is getting up a little bit, but just minerals, it's so hard to keep things running here. So if you can start killing off these gateways, it'd be very cost ineffective to have to rebuild them all. But you can see Bojack keeps the pressure on just all these lings. So cheap investment for how much power he's getting out of them. He just keeps putting the pressure on, refusing to relent.
Yeah, Ling's being so cost effective, and he's able to send his Lings to different parts of the map, forcing the Y2 kid to respond and split up his army. And right now he's going simultaneously to 12 and to the main of Y2 kid. And he's able to take out all the gateways in the main for Y2 kid.
Yeah, and he's got enough to get through the cannons up to 12. There's no units here to defend this either. If he can shut down this mining base, like, this keeps getting worse for Y2 kid. You see, like, Y2 kid not even trying to save the probes. They know they ain't gonna get out. Just trying to get what little money he can before things go wrong. If Reavers get dropped, actually do a lot of damage to some of these things. I think it might be enough to defend it. These shuttles and Reavers, MVPs for the defense for Y2 kid.
Yeah, Reavers strong units, especially against just Zerglings. But will it be enough? Just these 3 mining bases, all Y2 kid really has on the map now. So he doesn't have a lot of production, but he can build a lot of Reavers and a lot of shuttles. So that's what he's doing right now. He has Reavers everywhere.
Yeah, He's actually
But
has to
eventually he's just
rebuild.
gonna get.
He has to actually rebuild pylons. The supply blocked after all that damage in the main. And here comes the Defiler crawl up the top, while the Reavers being pulled around for defense. Finally, this upper left base is exposed, and the Lynx can get in there. Meanwhile, Bojack's top right base finally gets established. It's a mineral only, but at this point, I'll take anything you can get.
Yeah, any minerals are good minerals at this point.
This is
But
so many Reavers. This is unbelievable. I would love
yeah,
to get the transition, go to Mutus. There's nothing here to defend Mutus.
yeah.
That'd be the way to go. Link's trying to stream in up there.
He's deciding just mass links. That's all I need.
I mean, it's working quite well. Like there's a point in this game where Y2Kid was like maximum Bojack was at 100 supply. And look at him now. He's just small little tactics, taking little edges where he can. He keeps denying expansion. Bojack
Flooding this base. Yeah, he's clawed his way back into this game for sure. He's taken out this base, so now there's only one mining base for Y2Kid. It's going to be like a last stand type scenario. He does have like 7 Reavers at that location.
Yeah, and Bojack's still just making ground army. He's got the funnel through this little tiny choke with a crap ton of Lings and Hydras. Unless he loads them into Overlords and goes for a big Doom drop. But actually, there's not a lot of cans anymore. They didn't really get remade.
Yeah, Doom drop might be a wise decision here. Either way, I don't see a way back in this game for Y2Kid.
Yeah, this is a rough one, but kudos for Bojack for staying in it as far as he did. He was very far behind at a point in this game, but really like getting clawing his back at this point. And this is like one of those games you play, and it's just if Bojack ends up winning, then you got to do the game 3. Oh no.
No, it's better for us. I'm excited to see how game 3 would go between these players.
Oh no, I'm super excited if it gets to that point. But the thing is, like, imagine you're the player here that is just like, I'm so exhausted from this game, and you're gonna tell me to play another one. I would be furious. I'd be so mad. We're seeing the shuttle with some Reavers trying to fly out, trying to get a little bit of counterattack damage done or something. But I feel like killing drones here isn't really doing anything. There's just it's too little too late to try little cute moves like this. So he's just like going up to the top, fighting the Zealots here. A bunch of Defilers just waiting to use whatever spells they want to use.
Some nice plagues going in there, but the Protoss not able to push out from his base. He's got a lot of gateways now, finally, and he's rebuilding some of his tech. I don't see a way for him to get out here and claim any of these mineral bases anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's like at this point, what would be your move? Like, I think maybe you load a probe in one of the shuttles and go back for that top left, because again, Bojack not maintaining vision on these bases. That's like, how are you gonna get to them? Oh, we're seeing Lings trying to go in through the front, but Storm and Reaver, this is gonna be very difficult to go through. But Overlord's on the left side going for that Doom drop I was talking about.
Oh, here comes the Doom drop in. So this is a good flank from Zerg, and he's going to rush in the front with all of his swarm of Lings. And these Reavers are just going to have too many targets that they have to fire at, I'm assuming, because eventually there's just going to be too many Zerg units.
It feels that way. That choke was really good, but getting something from the left side is really the big thing that we need. Finally breaking through this defensive Y2K. This scene looking like it's straight out of the campaign. It's like, I will survive.
How long can you hold on?
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
One Reaver left in the middle line, but it's pretty much over for Y2Kid. He doesn't really have any fighting units left.
Yeah, it feels that way. I think this time it's just kind of chilling out before you go to the next game. Like that way you got a little cooldown time. So,
Oh, he brought in a shuttle, but it just died. GG.
oh, jeez, that was a game.
Yeah, that was.
That was ridiculous. Real quick, I just gotta see. Yeah, Bojack lost 1,200 units.
And half of them was Lings, at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's just hilarious though.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Well, don't worry, we got a game 3.
Nice.
Oh man. But this will end up being the last game for the night. If it's anything like that one before, though, I'm in. Like, that's all I'm thinking about is the mental of these two players after a game like that. It's like, well, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, yeah, especially Y2 Kid. It looked like he was going to win that game. He definitely held off like the early Hydralisks and everything, and then to die in a kind of drawn out 40-minute game where the Zerg just masses links and A moves them all around the map until you fall apart. That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna introduce the players for the final game of the night. We got Y2 Kid in the bottom right with his green Protoss, classically staying to his color. I love it. And Bojack with the yellow Zergs in the top left, doing the same. Both players. I think like you're not gonna get a game like that here though, because unlike Sylphid, it's not nearly as easy to maneuver your army so aggressively. So I wonder, this might be the throwback to game one. Are we just gonna go for that 3-edge Hydra? Because it happened in both games. Just game two took a turn.
Yeah, I think from Bojack it might just be his build that he always goes for that kind of aggressive Hydralist play. But we're gonna have to find out. Do you think that won't be as effective on this map?
I think it's fine on this map because like getting a really clean wall here is a little bit difficult because usually it's like just the space. It always feels weird to me to get like a really clean wall, and like the distance to move isn't so bad. It's just getting stuff across the bridge. So like pressuring the wall is not so bad, but if they get past the wall and kind of repel you back, it's hard to get back in.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing similar openers from our players. This time we're doing the Forge expand instead of the Gateway expand for Y2 Kid and another overpool for Bojack. Just really favoring that. I want to make sure I get into at least the mid game and make sure I'm not losing to anything silly. Drone and Probe trying to fight it out here. Really aggressively blocking that hatchery. Almost loses the drone. It lives with 1 health left. Zerg health regen overpowered.
Zerg gets the kill, so he gets first blood. Good for the Zerg, but what is the Protoss doing? It doesn't look like he's ready. Oh, he's going to take his expansion right now.
Yeah,
there's one cannon.
Yeah, with the overpool opening, and he doesn't have the scout to see the lings. You have to at least get the one. It's your only. You don't want to risk like them making a bunch of lings and you have nothing. You would love to go Nexus before cannon, but it's just not an option.
So he's scouting out with his next probe now to try to see how many lings are on the way. It looks like only 4 lings are out for the Zerg player.
Yeah, but you want to get back in, because especially when you saw your opponent's like options, like if you can get back in, and the beautiful management of lengths to stop that probe from getting in. If he had that knowledge of, oh, you're not going to be able to do anything about this, but now he has no idea if it's a lair, if it's a Hydra Den. He doesn't even actually know about this third base 12. Gateway about to finish up. This wall looks a little interesting for Y2 Kid. I'm not sure about this one, but I'm sure he's better at walling than I am because, like I said, on this map I struggle with it. And here's that Hydra Den. No lair. We're not messing around. Bojack knows what he likes to do. Which, I'm optimistic about it. Like, it doesn't matter that it's, like, if it's telegraphed or your opponent knows that it's happening. Bojack showed, especially in Game 2, that he knows when to call it off or when to go in hard. Like, he has the idea of what he can get away with or not. So, curious to see what's going to be the thing here, if it is going to be very committed and aggressive, or if it's going to be just enough to get the reaction and then go into a macro game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see as well how this game turns out. Bojack's sticking to his guns with the Hydralist play. I like it. I'm worried about Y2 Kid, though, and how many cannons he is going to place, because he didn't really scout this Hydralist play because he lost his first 2 probes rather quickly, right?
Yeah, he doesn't really know for sure about this, but he got 1 Zealot moving towards the north side. side. Not going straight across that bridge. He doesn't want to get caught out on the bridge by the lanes again. But if he goes around, he might be able to get this in. At least confirm the third base, maybe get to see some of the hydras being made or see the lair. So, moving in, he sees the third base without a big saturation. And meanwhile, back at home, we're going the style that he went in Game 1, Citadel, not Stargate. And this Zealot actually getting a little bit of damage on it. Got one drone kill, and the Lynx have to come up and try to defend it. Which there's little pockets here that make microing this a lot more effective for Zealot. And let's see, we got Hydra upgrades on the way again, getting that range upgrade, starting to make the Hydra blisks. So the Zealot didn't really see what was going on, but we'll see if maybe he can sniff out that it's happening. No cannons being added on just yet, though. So, without getting that full confirmation, doesn't get a read on the situation. This might be trouble for Y2K this time.
Yeah, without the scouting, it's going to be hard for him to pick the right reaction. He must see some Hydralisks now outside of his base, so I wouldn't be surprised if he starts placing cannons as soon as possible, seeing this attack.
Yeah, you can see, like, the Hydra's starting to poke forward. He's going to start adding them in now. I'm actually surprised that he did poke forward that little bit like this. I figure you'd want to go a little more aggressive. But he doesn't have that range upgrade just yet. The Hydra is fighting in melee range, unfortunately right to where the Zealots would want you to be. But now the attack range upgrade is good. You can keep putting harassment on the gateway and cut that production down for Y2K.
Takes out that first gateway. Y2K adding his typical cannons, so he's gone up to 5 cannons now. May even want to add some more because Zerg is outside of his base with a lot of Hydralisks now.
Yeah, I mean, this is always a hard spot to read because you just don't know what your opponent's doing behind it all, but you're getting just a lot of aggression.
Uh-oh. He's came in and he's taking out 2 cannons really fast. He's trying to take out the 3rd cannon. Loses a good amount of Hydralisks, but he's reinforcing with more groups.
I mean, if you can keep resetting these cannons down, they have to actually survive warping in, like going into these little things. And you can see that the Zealot count's not being added. If there's an opportunity right now, if Bojack goes in to try to finish off the rest of these, both cannons going down. It's just a couple Zealots fighting it now, and warping cannons, which die so fast. Probe's getting pulled as well, trying to defend this. Bojack focusing on the Zealots instead of making sure the cannons don't warp in, but they take too long to finish. There's no way it's going to go in.
Bojack destroying everything with his Hydras.
Oh man, he cracks that one. Finally, the 3-hatch Hydra gets the job done. Oh, good game from Bojack, game 3. So same opener every time. Each game it went a different way. But fantastic set of games played by both of those players. That was a treat to end on. I'm glad I picked that one for last.
Definitely. Thanks for picking these games.
Yeah. It was fun to do a little highlight of some the lower tier stuff right before playoffs too. We got to get that hype going. Playoff round 1 is going on right now. Next week you'll start seeing casts for it. You can figure out what teams you want to root for. Don't root for Samyang Fire. Those guys are nice. But,
they're too good. Yeah.
Yeah, they are too good. They're ridiculous. But everyone that tuned in tonight, thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure casting this one, and thank you Royal Blue for joining me tonight. You stepped into big shoes from the blind, but you did well.
Thank you, Sage Zero.
Thank you. So everyone, have a good night. Stay safe. If you are not aware about some things going on in the world, maybe read a little. But other than that, everyone, you have a good time.
All right.